welcome to the Atrioc broadcast, March 31st, 2025. We're almost 4 months into the new year. My goodness, my gracious. What the fuck is it? Why every time's flying so quickly? It'll be 2026 before we know it. W. Cranny, thank you for the 47-month long time. Long fucking time. Appreciate that, W. Cranny. You have the Glizzy badge, which I do appreciate. I don't know why that exists, because I don't even think Glizzies have anything to do with this stream, but I wish there was a button that showed me a chatter's first chat message. It would be so fun to see, but I can't scroll your thousands of messages. It'll take too long. How the hell are you? Welcome to Monday. Let me put a little timer up. Let me put a little 30-minute timer up. Little timer action. Then we can discuss what's going on in the world. Oh, a little greasy or something. Hello. What up, Big A? I went to Walmart with my partner, ate a gummy, heated up my duck curry and rice. Now I'm chilling here. This is freaking epic sauce. A fellow millennial, I see. An honor and a pleasure. An honor and a pleasure. You speak the language. You understand the ancient code of our people. It is epic sauce. God, I hope your heckin' doggo's nearby for a chonkin' pet. You know, people can make fun of, well, there's a lot of things to make fun of millennials for. But the things they value are good, okay? There's nothing wrong with eating tasty food, spending time with your loved ones, petting a cute dog. Bacon is good. You know, maybe the language is a problem. Maybe the way they speak about it. But far be it from me to... I will say the tough one to defend is Funko Pops. I think next millennial meeting, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about cutting Funko Pops out of our platform. Hey, truck ministry, representative of the Ministry of Health and Wellness regarding the public image of Clancyville here to issue a citation in regards to all the heinous slander regarding Clancyville. If you don't heed this citation, then I'm afraid you may receive a visit by the enforcers from the Bureau of Clancyville Societal Cohesion. The CSC. The CSC, my old nemesis. Listen, Dan Clancy can send his goons after me all he wants, but I won't back down. I am a warrior, a fighter for the oppressed people of Clancyville. Attention, Big A. Why are the white Enron hats cheaper than the rest of the colors? I don't see the prices, bro. I don't know. Probably because every other hat, I add a little tax to it so that I can spend it on something woke. Yeah, it's DEI is what it is. What I do is I go to college campuses and I pay for anyone that wants to dye their hair purple or blue. I cover that for free. And I do that using Enron hat money. Kind of a woke tax. Welcome to the stream today. I think we have a lot to talk about. We have an insane amount of things to talk about, actually. We have at least the 3 topics in the title, and then also many more. But what's important to talk about in the first 26 minutes here, or at least the first minute, is that I balled out of control on Sunday. Okay. I think we need to talk about how I was fucking breaking ankles, okay? I was balling like crazy. I'm hurting right now. My legs hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts. Dude. Okay. How do I describe this? How do I describe this? You have to visualize this to understand. Okay? Scene 2. Okay. Look at this. So this is the court. This is Okay. And we're gonna do X's and O's here, okay? X is opposing player. How did this go exactly? Okay, there's like a loose ball. Like everyone's right here. There's like a loose ball. I'm here going this way. Okay? There's a loose ball. So the ball is like over here, gets loose, goes to this guy. He is trying to behind the back pass it to this guy. And I'm running up the court. Right as this happens, he, as hard as he can, I'm talking about as hard as he can, and I'm right next to him, whips it to the right into my face. Whips it directly into my face as hard as he fucking can at like, you know, we're less than a foot apart. That shit hurt, dude. I was on the ground. I got blood in my fucking mouth. What do you mean deserved? What do you mean deserved? What was that deserved? Anyway, that did hit me, but outside of that, I was balling. Good thing you got that forehead to protect you, Lamau. Just where's this coming from? Where's this coming from? Where's this fucking coming from? Hey, is it just me, or does RFK look like the bird from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated? I can't tell you it's just new because I can't picture the bird. I can't picture the bird. Scooby-Doo bird RFK. Do you mean this? Professor Pericles? To be honest, no. I don't see it. I don't really see it. I don't really see Professor Pericles in RFK Jr. I'm not. I would have to say maybe there's some slight similarities, but I can't say it's a strong connection. I feel like I'd be reaching a bit for that. Hey, Big A, didn't you hear the news? All YouTuber merch is getting a 25% tariff. Are you going to pay or shove the tax onto your adoring chatters? No, I build my merch in Clancyville. It's because the labor's cheap. Listen, I don't like Dan Clancy, but his prices can't be beat. So there's no tariff. There's no tariff. Yeah, they don't allow unions there. Chunky's Milk, thank you for the 3 months. What is Liberation Day? Trump keeps on out. I'll talk about today. I'll talk about Liberation Day today. I'll talk about Elon buying X. I'll talk about Marine Le Pen. What else am I going to talk? Well, other than those 3 things, or there's news we should talk about. I kind of want to fucking, dude. I gotta close some of this fucking shit. Close this. Ooh. Ubisoft and Tencent. Was there actual news on that, or was it rumored? Shavon, thank you for the 7 months. VC137, thank you for the Prime. Did you get highlights in your beard looking fresh? What would a what do you mean highlights in my beard? What does that even mean? What does you mean like you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna frost the tips. I'm gonna get like a frosted tips. GTA 6 trailer 2 tomorrow. I guess that's a big deal. That's kind of cool. Are you gonna get in a fist fight at Costco for a holographic Fizz card? They're putting out Fizz card? Is this the League of Legends card game? Is that announced? League of Legends card game. Oh yeah, it did get announced. Yeah, I knew about that. Let's see. Riot's new card game gets a name and format. Riftbound League of Legends trading card game will arrive in October 2025. Introducing Riftbound.
Oh, hey there. How's it going? Want the latest update on Project K? Well, I'm on my way to see Dave right now. Come on, let's see what he's up to.
Okay.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Chengren.
How's set 2 going?
Set 2? What are you talking about, set 2? Haven't you seen the player feedback? We gotta get set 1 frames and card art right. Here, check this out. Huh? All right, I'm just kidding. Here, let me show you the real stuff.
Okay.
Holy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And I'm Dave.
Since our initial announcement of Project K, we've received a ton of...
Can I check something real quick? Yeah, dude, I knew that guy. I knew it. Dude, I was like, I wanted to be sure. I don't want to be racist because I barely know him. That's Chengren, dude. He worked at Twitch same time as me. we weren't like tight or anything. Dude, yeah, that's Chengren. I was like, wait a minute, that guy is so familiar. But I just wanted to be 100% sure. Yeah, that's Chengren, dude. Like, I literally work with that guy. That's so funny. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. He didn't fuck the right interview. Yeah, exactly. Fellow Twitch employee that didn't fuck the right interview. Congratulations. All right, let's see what you got to say, Chengren. Oh, wait, we got a gifted? Let me do a quick check. Thank you very much for the gifted. Blue Parrot, thank you for the Prime. Forest Bound, thank you for the tier 1. Forest Bond, thank you for the tier 1. Heteros 5, thank you for the 47 months. Good goddamn, appreciate it. Party Rock House Tonight, thank you for the... Oh, that's just a follow. Thank you for following Party Rock House Tonight. 0 messages, 0. I appreciate that. Tony Stark's money, thank you for the Prime. MC Ice, thank you for the 33 months. Last word. Hey, oh, you 5,000 bits is not $50. Hey, big guy, I heard you saying a while back, 1 or 2 months ago, that you were searching for an idea for a multiplayer game to help develop. I have one I think you may enjoy and have an opportunity to pitch it to you, no strings attached. Thank you for the gifties, Third Eye. Last word. Okay. I'm down to hear about your game, but it has to be no strings attached because I have no really capability or time to fund it, right? We're doing something else. Isto and I. So I don't want to get any hopes up. I'm down to hear it. But just understand. If it's something, yeah, yes. Listen, ask for royalties. Here, I'll follow you on Twitch and I'll send you a whisper, and you can send me more information. Atrioc, I hate Trioc how you're late, Trioc. Can you please stop making me wait, Trioc? Holy shit, he's spitting fire. Spitting flames. I was only 15 minutes late. and I was eating dinner with my fucking wife. Okay, so I don't apologize for it. I was eating dinner with my wife, and it was great. And she made a delicious dinner with roasted veggies, and it was fire. So I'm not apologizing. Big wife guy? No, but I have a wife. Okay. I'm not doing a wife guy bit to say that I ate dinner with my wife. I'm not Andrew Tate. I'm not gonna be like, I don't talk about. She doesn't exist. I'm gonna fucking. Okay, I'm not. I don't think I'm leaning into it. I think I'm just describing the fact that I have a wife and we eat dinner together. Get a load of this wife guy. Oh, speaking of wife guy, wait. Let me be a wife guy for a second. Let me be a wife guy. Hi, Maisie. Let me be a wife guy. Okay. Ari has almost completely finished her biggest cosplay ever, Aurelia from Magic the Gathering, with working movable wings, angel wings. They're fucking awesome. It's super sick. She's posted some progress on her Instagram, but I asked her if she would show it off on stream, and I think she will. Not today, but soon. I think she's going to come on stream and show the whole thing, and I think it's fucking sick. I'm not going to wear it. It won't fit me. But it's really cool. I mean, it's like she's put like fucking hundreds of hours in this thing. A lot of time. And it's badass, and I'm going to go with her to Magic Con in Vegas. So if any of you are Magic fans and going to that, we will be there. I will be dressed up as a loser streamer. Already wearing it. And she will be wearing this cosplay. And it will be great. I'll be dressed as a wife guy. Mm-hmm. So it should be good. Should be good. You look like you make IPA in your garage. What does that mean? Because I am wearing my normal clothes and it's my normal everything. So that's just a weird thing to say. And it's just my beard, dude. Everyone's been making more and more like, I don't know. They've been like stereotyping me as my beard grows out more. I've noticed it in real life and on here. The more I grow my beard, the more people are like, oh, you look like this type of way. It's like, it's the same fucking thing. Anyway, whatever. I got no fucking problem with it. Are you fucking with kombucha? Be honest. I don't fuck with kombucha. Don't worry. Just yet. I am drinking Topo Chicos by the fucking gallon. Which just feel a little bougie in some way. But I'm not apologizing for it. I love a good Topo Chico. You know why I like Topo Chico? Is because, like most people, but especially millennials, I love a little treat. Okay? I love a little treat to reward myself during the day for doing my normal activities. I want a treat. And if I don't have Topo Chicos where I can have the satisfying and drink it, then what I have is like candy or some shit. Or like Golden Grams out of the box. Do you know what I'm saying? And if I have that, then I feel shittier as I eat that over time. So I have this as my treat, and I went through like 8 of these. So bro's afraid of I'm not afraid of microplastics. I have plenty in my brain. Why are you always flexing? I didn't even bring. What were they talking about in video? What is going on here? What is this third degree? I didn't even say the word in video editing. What are you talking about? I was talking about Topo Chicos. You thought it? No, I wasn't thinking about it. I literally wasn't thinking about it, except to say, bro, anyone can work in a video, okay? Working in a video is not what I'm impressed with. That's not what I'm glazing myself about. What I'm glazing myself about it is that I fucking top ticked the sale, dude. I sold in fucking June. My God, it's 108 and it's over like fucking a year later. That's a spicy meatball, dude. God, that feels so fucking good. Literally, no, I typed it in. Don't worry about that. Let me close Chengren Chai's LinkedIn. I can't believe that's Chengren. We were in the middle of a video. You guys cut me off after we were watching my good friend and coworker Chengren. That's so crazy. It's him.
Hi everyone, I'm Karen.
And I'm Dave.
Since our initial announcement of Project K, we've received a ton of great feedback. All I can say is thank you. When you told us you were hungry for more original art and the refined UI, that lit a fire under us to deliver.
We rely on your feedback to make our games the best they can be. Your thoughts led us to go back and revisit some of our design decisions and conduct more playtests to ensure that we are making the game you want to play. Today, we're excited to share some of those updates with you. But first, Chengren, it feels like it's time to retire the Project K codename, right?
Yeah, it's about time. Today, we're excited to announce that Project K is now Riftbound, the League of Legends trading card game.
For those of you joining us for the first time, Riftbound is a TCG inspired by the champions and universe of League of Legends. While some of us on the design team are from the old school days of
Kind of reminds me of Shardbound, which is a game that I lost a year to. Thousands of hours. Maybe I could get hooked by this easily. Riftbound?
classic 1v1 card games, Riftbound has that and more.
Creating a new game gave us the opportunity to design multiplayer gaming from the ground.
Will it have arcane characters? They're all League characters. Okay, they're League characters. They're not. It's the League universe, not the Arcane is a show set in the League universe.
Up. If you like teaming up with a friend to play 2v2s, we got you. Or if you just want to have some good old chaotic fun in a free-for-all, we definitely got you.
Dude, I'm like, I didn't know him that well, obviously, but I'm like proud of Chengren. I'm like proud, dude. He's like the face of a Riot franchise. He was like, that's cool. That's fucking cool. I think I should reach out.
We're excited to introduce a TCG for those of you who want to sit and play with friends, connecting across the table while being immersed in the rich world of League.
Okay.
As super obsessed TCG developers,
And fans,
we set out to make Riftbound as the true best of both worlds. A game that is easy to teach and play with your friends, and a game that is strategic and exciting at high-level tournament play.
speaking of playing with friends, let's take a closer look at some of the champions you'll be fighting alongside in Riftbound's first set, Origins.
Origins will launch with over 300 different cards, including pre-constructed decks for some classic champions like Jinx, Victor, and Lee Sin.
Are they full?
All
Okay.
decks feature a legend card, like this one, Yasuo,
Oh, there it is. Okay.
the Unforgiving.
Interesting. So that's what the card looks like. Damn, these are gonna sell for a lot. People are gonna speculate on these. I wonder if there's gonna be like a bubble and then a crash right at the beginning. It like depends on it. It's a physical TCG, yeah. It's a physical TCG.
Given. Legends will also come in secret rare versions, illustrated by some of Riot's amazing artists in their own style.
Can we show them? I want to show them.
Now, let's let players discover them on their own. We don't want to spoil the surprise.
Fine. In addition to legend cards, we've also got units like this Deadbloom Predator. An epic card that you can sign.
I smell an Oscar, Chengren. I smell an Oscar because that was fire, dude. I swear to God, I feel like I was watching Daniel Day-Lewis in his prime. That was good fucking act. That was cinema. Deadbloom Predator. Oh, it's like a unit? Interesting. I mean, these cards all look cool. It depends on if the gameplay is fun. That's all that matters, right? If the game's fun, then maybe this shit'll slap. And if the game's kind of low-key ass, then it doesn't matter. But
summon right onto your enemy's battlefield. Talk about overpowered. Just kidding, we balanced it.
And we've got spells for you Jinx fans out there.
oh no, I just realized this is a game that Riot can't patch. The balance is gonna be terrible. They can't patch it. It's fucking screwed, dude. No, we're cooked. Ban list? That ban list is gonna be fucking the whole set. If the only way they can patch is with a ban list, they're just gonna ban all the cards and reprint the new set again.
There, you might recognize Super Mega Death Rocker, a card that you will definitely want to play again and again and again.
Most things Jinx and her buddies can take care of. For everything else, there's the rocket.
That's right. But Dave, what if I'm new to TCGs? I remember my first time playing. It was kind of intimidating looking at all these cards.
We've got something just in mind for you, wrapped up in a single package. I'm talking about Proving Grounds. Featuring Lux, Annie, Master Yi, and Garen, this box is a great way to kick off your Riftbound collection. Proving Grounds is designed to get casual or first-time players off the bench and into the game. Bring it to your regular game night. I promise it won't disappoint.
Okay.
We couldn't do this all alone. To bring this game to markets globally, we've partnered with UVS, an industry veteran with almost 2 decades of TCG experience. We'll be working closely with them to ensure that you can find Riftbound in your local game stores and participate in organized play.
We wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of you for providing us with your feedback, for bearing with us while we went dark for a few months to get the product right. We're excited to share that we'll be launching Riftbound in China in summer of this year, followed by many English-speaking countries in 2025, with additional regional rollouts in 2026.
If
China gets it first? What the fuck? Xi Jinping's done it again. God damn it. When he got high quality, low cost electric cars first, that was one thing. But when he gets Riftbound first, and then they didn't even say America, they just said many English speaking countries may get it by the end of 2025. Does that include America? Our soft power is getting fucked up in Riftbound.
If you want to get your hands on some of these cards, look for us at some of the upcoming Riot and tabletop events this year.
And look for us.
Double the tariffs! Trump! Triple the tariffs! They got Riftbound first. Get them up there. All right. Thanks, Chengrin. That's my dog. God, me and Chengrin have been lifelong pals. What are the chances that I have an email in my email from Chengrin? I'm just going to check. All right. No. I mean, I'm not looking at my Twitch email, so why would he have emailed me afterward? Okay. Did you see Black Bag or Severance? Neither. Has anyone seen Black Bag? Was it good? What did I watch? I watched a movie. I don't remember what I watched. Dude, again, very mixed reviews on Black Bag here. Very mixed reviews, but I think I'll like it. I'm gonna watch it. What did I watched? I watched a couple movies. Companion. Have you guys heard of this movie, Companion? It was pretty good. It's like a horror, thriller, robots, AI type movie. Girl Terminator, kind of like that. Yeah, I saw Companion. It was pretty good. It was good. Yeah, Jack Quaid was good in it. I saw an 80s film called Mississippi Burning because I wanted to see one of the best Gene Hackman movies because he died. The main takeaway from Mississippi Burning, I'm gonna lay this on you. It's pretty heavy. Racism is bad. It's not good. Bad. Kind of. And no, honestly, I'm no joking. I like the movie a lot. It was good. I mean, he was incredible in it. But that was the main takeaway. Maybe that needed to be more definitively said. Wait, what? Have you and Ari put up the liberation tree yet? Not yet. Not yet, because it's Liberation Day is April 2nd. Okay? Well, you can't put up your liberation tree early, or Donald Trump won't come and give you extra tariffs. Okay? You got to put it out on 2nd. Diet Coke's out for Trump. Hey, Big A, I'm finishing up a big campaign pitch to AT&T through the National Student Ad Competition. We passed around Marketing Mondays within the team for inspo a bunch, so thanks so much for all the content. We'd love your feedback on our final product at some point if you haven't had time. Dude, that sounds fire. Of course. Could you post it on the Reddit or something? Never checked that. No, I will. Yeah, send it. I would love to watch it on stream. That'd be fire. Hi, Big Edge. Want to say hi? Hi, Gingerbread Man 420. Oh, user Sam Mule. No, that's not Gingerbread. The Reddit has low-key improved. I was going to do a Reddit recap. Might have to do it tomorrow because we have stuff to talk about today. Was there anything I wanted to bring up on the Reddit? There was interesting stuff on there. People were talking. People were cooking. There was just a great photo of people at a Chili's. There was people talking about how hard it is to deal with HR when they're getting their job. There was somebody who got their first job and wanted to say thank you. That was really nice. There was some stupid stuff. There was... maybe it wasn't as great as I thought, but... it's like... It wasn't terrible. The point is, like, people are using it, and then there's, like, some interesting things. Oh, there was a good one. This is a good one. There was one where it said, this Wall Street Journal headline that I saw, how a new axis called CRINK is working against America, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. And then they were like, it won't be long till we have Cronchmas. I thought that was fire. I thought that was fire, dude. America's fucking enemy is ally into Crinky Cronchmas. I recently got a job where I literally do nothing and never hear from my singular boss, but they pay me. What do I do? You have a problem with this arrangement? What about this arrangement is bad to you? It sounds like you've gotten one of the greatest jobs, the fall through the crack job. Jobs that they've forgotten to time. You can get another remote job and do two jobs. but you should understand that hard for that to last generally. Usually those moments, they are but brief in time. And then it's usually a sign the company's going under or like in a bad spot. So make the most of it. Make the most of it. Did you see the Jack Black donkey clip? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Did you have those times at Twitch? I wouldn't say I had those times specifically, but I will say there was a time right after the Amazon acquisition, but before Amazon started doing anything, where it felt like all the executives were just cashing in their newfound money and stock and didn't give one shit about the company. And there was no direction, and Amazon was hands off. So everybody at my level, which is the low level, was coasting. I wasn't even happy about coasting. I was actually mad because I felt like, I want to like get responsibility or do something or move up. But I just played a lot of Melee. A lot of 4-hour lunches playing Melee. Jack Black donkey clip. Let's see.
Right now, what have I been playing? I've been playing some old games.
Oh my God. I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot. Okay.
Right now, what have I been playing? I've been playing some old games. I loved Fallout 4, so I started going backwards because I hadn't done Fallout 3, 2, and the rest. Fallout New Vegas. There's some really good games in that universe. And I started playing Yakuza. You ever play any of those games?
Only Jack Black can say Yakuza like that. and not piss me off.
Fun. You know who a good person to check into? My son turned me on to is Video Game Donkey.
Oh, shit.
He's very funny, and his content about games is good because he kind of keeps me abreast of the latest and greatest.
That's fucking awesome. Donkey just got a Jack Black shout out. That's a dub. In any world, that's a dub. Give me 10 minutes here. That's fucking awesome. That's really cool. Congrats to Donkey. Animal Well sales just 10x. I think Animal Well already sold really well. I think that game did really good, which is good. He honestly proved the doubters and the haters and the fakes wrong. All the people that said he couldn't publish games because he was just a YouTuber, and then he published a great game and it did really well. It's like tough. Wait, I need to add one thing here. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Just need to add one thing here. And then we are good. Put that in. Okay, good. Have you ever considered parallel streams on Twitch and Kick? Every day I think about giving up on Twitch altogether and going all in on Kick. Because that's where my real audience is, and that's where I feel more comfortable. Half Kick, half Rumble. And the streams, I feel like it'll be like half the screen is gambling, and the other half is me giving my very serious thoughts on many controversial social issues. You'll really kick yourself. Yeah, half gambling, half racism. And then a feet cam for OnlyFans. You think my grippers got what it takes? Any updates on the whistleblower? First of all, who the fuck are you? Trying to fucking kill my whistleblower? Who the fuck are you trying to kill my whistleblower? You better fucking calm yourself down. I give you no extra details. The updates are I'm working. Okay? I'm working with this whistleblower on a video that is timed around something else. And it will come out when it's ready. So please do not. Shouldn't have mentioned it so soon. Shouldn't have showed up in my chat and talked shit if you didn't want to get banned. Damn, you have 999 messages. I was going to ban your ass. I was going to ban your ass, but I didn't. I didn't realize I was dealing with an unsubbed fucking life chatter. Bro's been chatting for... all right. I thought you were brand new around here. Aki did have the 11 months. Big A, are you dressing up for Liberation Day? Everyone on my block is. Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't dress up for Liberation? Liberation Day is such a big deal. God, we're going to be finally liberated. I've been feeling like America's been so shackled. And now Trump's going to liberate us. Thank God. Saunder, 256, thank you for the 5 months. Big A, which celeb do you want to shout you out? LeBron James. I want LeBron James to score a game-winning dunk and then look in the camera and say, subscribe to Big A. Okay? Thank you for the gifted zip. That's if you want to talk about my dream. But sometimes dreams don't come true. How's the stock hunt going? Market tanked today, then kind of rallied by the end. I think it's about the same. We can check real quick. We have 5 minutes. Still a pretty commanding lead. Damn, everything's down though. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P have just been down. I will say this. Top 5 stocks of the contest. We got 1. We got 2. Doug has 3. The 4th is Kroger, which Ludwig snatched from me. And the 5th is Nintendo, which was base pick. Do you think that higher prices due to tariffs will inadvertently cause people to become more financially responsible? It sounds like you're on the Trump economic team and you're searching for a reason. You're just trying to find a fucking... No, but in a way, it'll make everyone more financially responsible because they're not going to have as much money to throw. No, I don't think so. I mean... Well, let me be clear with my thoughts. I do believe that recessions, I'm not talking about tariffs, but recessions do make people more financially responsible by blowing up their finances and thus causing all unproductive investments to collapse and go to zero. And then eventually you reset and invest in good things. It's a normal part of the business cycle, but it's been so long since we've had a real recession that this one is going to be particularly painful. And tariffs is just fucking gasoline on a fire. It's just a terrible addition to an already stressed economic climate. Is how I would... That's my clear answer. I don't want to just have a joke one. Hey, Big A, someone I work with started a year of encouragement independent of your year of kindness. Thought you should know. It's spreading virally, okay? It's spreading virally. Everyone's getting out there and they're you know, it's passive, play it forward. It's good recognizes good, okay? I've been so kind to this chat that I bet a lot of you are spreading this year of kindness to other people in your lives. Because I've been so kind, I think it's like, it's passed along. It's been like, it's virally going out into the world. Did you see Spider-Verse 3 is coming out in June 4th, 2027? Well, it's a good thing they left on a big fucking massive cliffhanger then, isn't it? Dude, fuck the last third of Spider-Verse 2. I'm going to be honest with you. That was not a proper way to wrap up that movie. It was already a little too long, and it fucking massive cliffhangered it needed to wrap up like a movie. It needed to wrap up like a self-contained movie. I like the movie a lot, but I think the last third was weak, especially knowing when it ends. But good thing I have to wait till 2027 to get a finisher. What's your favorite J. Cole song? It's a toss-up between Grippy and the one where he talks about coming early. It's just so hard to fucking balance those two classic songs. My honest favorite J. Cole song? I don't know. My favorite verse is probably the one on Johnny P's Caddy. I feel like that verse is so fire. When he does the Einstein bar, I don't even remember how it goes. Theory of relativity, really no MC equal or something. That was just fire, dude. That shit was so gas. That was such a gas fucking millennial verse. I'm gonna play a fucking Cardi verse and you can pog. I'm gonna play a fucking. I don't care. Call it a millennial verse. It's good. It's a good verse. It's clever. Holy. Zam! Fucking Zam, dude. Gen Z versus just mumble rap? No, dude. That's not true. It's not true because people like JID or fucking Denzel are incredible. But it's just the people that would call that verse millennial are the same people that would not like a good JID or Denzel song. JID's millennial. Dude, it's not about your age as the artist. It's about the age of the youth when your shit starts popping. Because like all the classic like many millennial artists are not millennial. They're like one gen back because they were old enough to be popular when millennials were young. And then it's exactly. You get it's usually like it's usually the artist of your generation is one gen older. JID Vance. That's my favorite rapper. Sorry, wokes. I like JID Vance. He's wrapping up this country in success. So our goats are millennials. You know what? Like the number one selling rapper of the past year is fucking Kendrick, who's old as shit now. He had his biggest career now. His biggest selling time is now. Says you? No, I'm just doing numbers. I'm doing facts. It's kind of like how the greatest rapper of all time, we can all say it on 3. 1, 2, Tom McDonald. Yes, of course. We all know Tom McDonald. And he like transcends generations. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not just good for Gen Z, he's good for millennials, good for everyone. Everyone loves him because he spits facts. Is he the one that had a farm? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I remember getting so drunk to swimming pools, classic teen year shit. I mean, me too, but it is funny that song is like about the debilitating effects of alcoholism. But it has a catchy chorus, so it kind of fucking was fun to drink to. I have a 40-year-old coworker who exclusively listens to white rappers like Tom McDonald. Are you a streamer? I didn't know we were coworkers. Hey, nice to meet a fellow. Nice to meet a fellow content creator. Yes, sir. How does one random message get picked up on the screen? It's random. B-Tuck, it's random. Like every 30 seconds, a random message gets pulled. Holy fuck! Holy fuck, you got pulled up. What are the timing on that? Bro, that's awesome. Dude, that's actually crazy odds. Right as I was fucking... Jesus. Anyway, welcome to the chat. Things are crazy here. We have a good time. We have a good fucking time. Okay. Listen, I got 3 topics today. The main one is about Marine Le Pen, but we could talk about the other 2 in any order. I can sort of do. Actually, I need to do this close to fucking tab. It's gonna lag this shit. I need to close.
Is this thing on?
Oh my god, I forgot I even had that. You just spent $9 to test if it's on. Wait, let me fucking close some. Because this is going to lag. I actually had everything for the fucking PowerPoints open. It cost that much? I had to bump it up. It used to be cheap, and then I bumped it up during the last time I played Get to Work, because I couldn't think or move, and everyone was spamming boom, boom, glizzy, glizzy, boom, boom. It was fucking insane. It was insane. It was
pay for this, Lamau.
Stop spending $9 on. It wasn't cinema. That's the crazy thing is it wasn't cinema. Oh, you know what we can talk about? Wait. Let's start at probably 8. You know what we need to talk about? We got to talk about something else. We got to talk about Donald Trump running for a 3rd term.
I don't want to talk about a 3rd term now because no matter how you look at it, we got a long time to go. We have a long time. You know, we have almost 4 years to go. And that's a long time. But despite that, so many people are saying, you've got to run again. They love the job we're doing. Most importantly, they love the job we're doing.
He refuses to rule out running for a third term, saying, quote, there are methods. Let's see if we can get the exact video. I can't find the fucking. Does anyone have the video of him saying, I'm not joking? Like, they asked him if he was joking and he clarified, I'm not joking. But it's too early to think about. It will be the greatest honor of my life to serve not once, but twice or 3 times or 4 times. Oh, someone's got a clip. Let's see. And then someone asked him about if, let's see. No, we just watched that clip. I want the other. I want the one. You just linked me the clip I just watched. How does that help me? Don't leave me the clip I just played on stream, bro. I want to fucking. Can I refresh chat? I see all the emotes on my screen. It works, right? So, let's see. No, that's not it.
The recession.
Bro, you're pissing me off with these links. I'm just gonna put it on YouTube. Trump third term.
This morning, President Trump is not ruling out the possibility of seeking a third term, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution's 22nd Amendment. He's joked about it at rallies.
It will be the greatest honor of my life to serve not once, but twice, or 3 times, or 4 times.
But now, in an exclusive phone interview with NBC's Kristen Welker, he says that there are, quote, methods for doing so, and that a lot of people want me to do it. Asked to clarify, he said, I'm not joking, but added it is far too early to think about it.
Well, we should think
Asked
about it, though,
one
right?
possible method, Vice President J.D. Vance running for president and then passing the baton if he won, Trump responding, quote, well, that's one, but there are others, too. The president later speaking on Air Force One.
I don't want to talk about a third term now because no matter how you look at it, we got a long time to go.
President also threatening extra tariffs on Russian oil, telling NBC News by phone he was, quote, very angry and pissed off at Russia's President Putin for criticizing Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Supposed to be making a deal with him.
And after slapping 25% tariff.
All right, well, that's true. I mean, the main thing was the third term. The main thing was the third. And then someone asked him about if he, let's see if we can find this one. It was about him running against Obama. And he was like, man, that would be a good match. It's like, bro, can we just... It would be so nice to not have that. I do not want a Trump-Obama... I don't want a third term of Obama. I don't want a third term of Trump. I don't want that. I don't want an election Pro Bowl. I don't want Survivor All-Stars. I want to stick with the Constitution. 2 terms. I wonder if I could find... Is this it? No. Yeah, I must have closed it. I think that Bill Clinton has another one in the tank. Please don't run Bill Clinton. Fucking aged, whatever he's at. Bro, he's going to be 82. Trump will be 82 at the end of this term. running to 86. Now, can we bring back George Bush for one last drive? Yes, of course. One last George Bush drive to really knock it out of the park. One last pitch. How about we just stop running the same people? I don't want family members of people. I don't want fucking Barron Trump. I don't want Michelle Obama. I don't want the presidency to be sons, brothers, sisters, wives, cousins of the same. It's not a fucking king. It's not a, you don't pass it down in the family. It needs to be a new person. Ideally, someone a little more in touch with regular Americans. Give me Jokic. Give me Jokic. Give me Elon Musk. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Hunter Biden, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No, we should run Hunter Biden. I think Hunter Biden should go up on stage, do a line in front of everyone, talk about different hookers he's had sex with, and then fucking... and then say, vote for me. And they just fucking cinema. Just sell that. No, I think it's fucking crazy to even float the idea of doing a third term. It's why I would hope that no one supports this in any real measurable way. It's crazy. It's not a good idea. Why not just after 2 terms they hand it to his son, maybe his eldest? I mean, if we can go back to feudalism, that'd be kind of pog. Like, just give it to the eldest male heir, and you pass it through generations. That can be. I mean, why do we ever stop monarchies in general? What was the problem with them? Whatever happened to monarchies? I don't understand. I thought they were fucking fire. I thought they... Peasants got too woke. I see. All right, well, let me see. Is there anything else I want to say? I mean, actually, it's not like a deep topic. It's just like, it's crazy that he's bringing it up and not ruling it out. What I think is crazy is that he won't even have the decency to lie. You know? He won't even have the decency to be like, nah, I'm not going to do a third term, and then switch up near the end. He just openly will say, no, there's ways to do it. Like, I'm not joking. That's like crazy. This is a graph showing an increase in autocracies. Yeah. Keep this in mind, Fango. Keep this in mind. Keep this graph in mind. I'm only chatting so Atrioc can have the advertisement. No, I think we're right. I think we'll talk about it. We'll talk about this. Okay. Trump is like me getting kicked out of the bar for drinking too much, but having methods to get back in. I don't think it's like that at all. I don't think it's like that at all. And what do you mean methods to get back in? In what way? Are you just walking back in the door and then drinking more? Or are you going in the bathroom when the point, won't they just not serve you? How are you getting thrown out of a bar publicly and then they're just sitting down to buy another drink? Oh, fake. There are methods. We We don't talk about it now because we're having such a good night drinking, but there are methods. I'm not joking. There are methods. Yeah, I don't, it's fucking ridiculous. He should not run for a third term. Jensen Huang, thank you for the 18 months. Thank you, CEO Jensen. Roscoe, thank you for the prime. Yidrisil, thank you for the sub gifted. Good night, Fresh Prince. Thank you for the prime. All right. Without further ado, we have three major things to talk about today. Three separate presentations. Two of them are smaller, but the main one concerns Marine Le Pen. So let me set this up in the right one. And I need you guys to do one thing for me, and that is say Poggies me when you see yourself in this week's Marketing Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday. Today's top story takes us back to Europe. I want to introduce you to two people. The first is Marine Le Pen. If you aren't aware, she is the leader of the right-wing RN party in France. Currently, or at least until recently, leading in the polls. Let me move this over. With the highest vote share and likelihood of winning the upcoming presidential election in France in 2027. That was, of course, until today, where she was found guilty of embezzlement and banned from that next election in 2027. She is the first person I want to introduce you to, but a lot of you are Americans, so I need to introduce you to someone else before we get into further explanation here. This is Jar Jar Binks. Excuse me. This is Jar Jar Binks, okay? Jar Jar Binks is from the planet Naboo. He's not the leader of Naboo. He's not the president of Naboo. But in the Galactic Senate, he is the representative of Naboo when they are speaking to other planets. Okay? So the Galactic Senate, everyone from all these different planets show up and they speak about problems or solutions or votes from their own planet. But he's not the leader, he's a representative. That is how European Parliament works to an American. If that helps you understand, okay? Every country in Europe sends representatives to the European Parliament in Belgium, and they vote on issues related to the EU as a whole. Every 5 years, Mr. Europe here, with his, it's like the Uncle Sam of Europe. Mr. Europe shows up and tells you to use your vote. Use your vote or others will decide for you. Hashtag use your vote. And then everybody in all of the European countries around the same time, basically June every 5 years, vote and decide who to send as their representatives into Parliament. And each country gets a number of representatives equal to their proportional to their population. So Germany gets the most, France gets the second most, Italy the third most, etc. And then you get all your representatives in there based on the split by each party, and then they vote across all of Europe for certain things. Okay? They all hash it out. And they basically sit down and debate whether Italian food or French food is better. Croissants or pizza. I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but that's what they vote on. Okay? Americans, do you understand now what we're going on? This is the idea of European Parliament. But one thing you might have noticed from that Jar Jar example is that Jar Jar here has an assistant. Okay? He's got someone here to hold his funny hat. Okay? You need to have an assistant when you're working a tough parliamentary job, which is why the European Union allows for up to 30,000 euros per month to be spent on assistants, up to 4 assistants. They pay for it. As long as you can submit their names and they're qualified to whatever job, you can get up to 30,000 euros per month to spend on your assistants. And every member of the European Parliament gets this $30,000, 30,000 euros a month to spend on citizens that they support. So, Marine Le Pen, as a member of European Parliament for France, spent that money on Agent 47. Agent 47 is a bodyguard of hers. and she spent some of that money on him. Okay? She spent it on this attaché. I believe her name is Gabrielle. I'm not sure. But anyway, she was a general overall assistant. And what the court found in this investigation is that these two people, among others in her party, were not really being used for European Parliament business. Again, this one, for example, only spent 12 hours in 2 years at Parliament, and instead was really just a personal assistant that was being paid with European parliamentary funds. Okay? And I went through this is the courtroom sketch. I went through all the details of this trial, and I think the evidence is pretty overwhelming. Okay? That these people did not do what the letter of the law states, which is they need to be focused entirely on parliamentary issues. They can't be used for other things. And that law was broken. Okay? She testified that it was appropriate for them to do other party-related work, but it's not. Okay? Because she's not paying them. The European Parliament is paying them. It's embezzling money. Okay? So open and shut case. Open and shut case. I mean, she did do it. Deal. And because of that, she's been found guilty, and the judgment was applied. This is where it gets interesting. She received 4 years in jail. She received, you have to pay back all the money, plus a 100,000 euro fine on top of that, plus I think €1 million fine on her party. Okay? Now the 4 years in jail was suspended, so it's instead 2 years of house arrest with a bracelet. No actual jail time. And I believe half the fine was suspended. It was 2 million down to 1 million. So that is the fine. But then there was one additional aspect added. And that additional aspect was that she cannot run or hold any office for 5 years, which will cover the 2027 presidential election, which will not allow her to run. Now that is where it gets interesting. Now, many people in chat are spamming W and based, as they all like to do. I think a lot of people are desperate for wins, and they love to look at short-term wins and get really excited and not think about any implications politically or otherwise. And I hate to be the guy to rain on a parade, but I want to add a but. I want to add a but. When you look at the historical context for things like this that have happened. Okay? First of all, there's some inconvenient truths about this particular offense that make it hard to sell to voters. Number one is that 1 in 5 members of the European Parliament have committed this crime. And that's what they know about. 1 in 5. It's extremely widespread because it's hard to lock down people on assistance that only get used for one thing. So they have a lot of people, again, it's kind of lax standards in these assistants, so people are using it for a lot of. The second thing is that people in the past have been convicted of this crime, like Christine Lagarde, who was convicted for, actually, I think a more serious crime of negligence in a much larger, massive taxpayer bailout, and were not punished in any way. It was decided she should not be punished. She got to keep her job and, in fact, got promoted to head of European Central Bank. Macron's ally. Again, this is someone who recently, this is 2024. This is the ally of the current in-power centrist party. Bayrou was cleared of the exact same crime. I mean, the exact same one. This is literally misappropriating the assistant funds. And he was found, he was actually, they said, we're gonna show him some goodwill, you know, because he's friends with Macron. So my understanding is that he's likely committed. Maybe not to the same degree. I think the RN party has done this to a bigger degree for longer. But this type of double dealing is going to be hard to sell, I think, to voters. Bayrou, by the way, the guy that was freed from this conviction, was asked about this Le Pen conviction and said he was troubled by it because it feels, again, politically targeted, specifically the ability to not run when she's currently, again, massive leader in the polls, massive leader in the French polls, like very likely to win. She's run 3 times previously, and each time her result has gotten better. And this time it was set up like she was probably going to win based on current trends. And that's the time. Again, her offenses date back to like 2004 with this assistant thing, but this is when it hits and then gets banned. It feels odd, okay? And the Wall Street Journal had a good piece on this for the entire editorial board where they said, there are many reasons to be wary about Le Pen's policy ideas, but ample evidence around the world suggests there's no better way to goad voters into supporting her than to prosecute her. She's playing into this role that I'm anti-establishment, that they're trying to get me, they're trying to trump up charges. And I believe that there is some evidence that this has worked in the past. This is Nicholas Aosta. He is a head of Transparency International EU. This guy is fighting corruption in the EU is his #1 job. Basically, he's found half the people that have done this crime of misappropriating staff. Okay? It's his lifelong mission to find corruption in the EU and root it out. He said, I'm of the opinion that sometimes they treat different members of parliament different depending on their political groups. He's saying, listen, it's a good practice to persecute people for this, but it was weirdly extraordinary in this situation. Okay? And an overwhelming response that I'm seeing is that this may backfire. And I want to present this argument because I think there's a lot of truth to it. Okay? There's people, there was a study that came out recently that said people often, as a shortcut to figuring out their own opinion on something, just find when someone they doesn't like say and do the opposite. Okay? So like, for example, if I don't like Elon Musk, if Elon Musk likes something, then my shortcut is like, I don't like it then. If he says he's for something, then I go, I'm on the other side of it. You kind of have to break out of that habit. It ends up with you're just getting dog walked by your political opponents into being a lazy thinker. Elon Musk not liking this decision makes me want to disagree with it. But unfortunately, when I look through the facts, it doesn't make a lot of sense for its goal. This guy is a guy I respect as a really clear-eyed thinker. He's a left-wing economist from Greece, okay? He wrote this book that I recommended called Talking to My Daughter About the Economy. Yanis Varoufakis. This guy went fucking off on this decision. This is nuts. Lawfare is wrong whoever it targets, and it's stupid to boot. France's neo-fascists will only benefit from this, just as the MAGA lot did. A panicking, illiberal establishment across the West is diving headlong into a totalitarian pit. Okay? The charges are not a jailable offense and also a reason to bar her from running. It's mind-boggling. They're doing their utmost to strengthen the appeal of the neo-fascist right in Europe. And I fucking agree. By the way, this guy is no fan of Le Pen. He stressed, I think she's a fascist. I just want her to be destroyed politically. This is a guy who's part of the left-wing French party, France Unbowed. Eric Cockerell. This guy said, I don't agree that things should be decided by the ballot box are decided by the courts. It will only paint National Rally as a victim. And I fucking agree. This plays into the exact hands of what these parties want. It just makes them seem anti-establishment, out of power, rebellious, trying to save the regular person against expanded abuse of bureaucrat elites. The decision is not from the EU, it's from France. Mélenchon of France Unbowed. Again, this is the biggest left-wing party in France, said the choice to dismiss an elected official should only belong to the people. I feel like, at the very least, the quote-unquote far-left or far-right movements in France are the only ones that are reading the political moment. The political moment is that France is fucking angry. People are getting mad. Their lives are measurably getting worse every year. Again, this happiness report just came out. This is an annual UN well-being report. It just came out. France happiness is at a record low, just behind Saudi Arabia. People are pissed. They are seeing their standard of life and their standard of living and their quality of life drop. And they are going to more desperate extremes to try and find a solution. The solution to that is not to ban the people they want to vote for. It is to make their lives better. There is no other solution than that. You are setting yourself up for violence, for protest, for autocracy. That's the only way you can get their lives better, or the only way you can actually fix the problem of them voting people you don't like, is to improve their lives. And I want to show you some examples of this happening recently. So in Brazil, again, Le Pen's charge, well, I think she is guilty of it. She paid the money back. I mean, she paid the money back before the trial. She paid the 300,000 euro or whatever that she had used on the assistance back before the trial. I think she's guilty of it. But it's not like a emotional, feel it in your heart voter story, you know? It feels very small scale money based. Brazil had a much different situation where I think this is a crime that deserves to be barred from the ballot. So I want you to understand. Brazil, Bolsonaro literally had a coup. Even further along than the Trump attack on the Capitol. Like, this is a storming of government buildings. Like, literally, Brazil ex-military chiefs said under oath that he was discussing a coup, planning a coup. Like, it's a coup, okay? He tried to murder the president. Bolsonaro wanted to upend the democratic system, okay? This is the most recent municipal election. What happened? So rightfully, he was banned. He was banned from running, okay? What happened? They just had an election very recently. His party had massive gains. The right wing and his party had massive gains, okay? That's after banning him. That's with a guaranteed, like, slam dunk, open and shut coup case that he should be shut down on. This is Calin Georgescu, okay, in Romania. This guy, he's a right-wing, far-right guy in Romania. They had an election recently. In the first round, he surprisingly was leading in the polls. They didn't expect it. He had a big surge, surprising leading of the polls. Romania stopped the election, said it was Russian interference that he was winning, and banned him from running. Okay? Again, I don't know what the level of truth is to that, but people did vote for him. And they had massive protests, tens of thousands of protests. And now, as they prepare to do the rerun election, all those people didn't just stop and say, oh, I guess I'm done. They just reformed behind a different far-right leader. I just want you guys to understand, people that are spamming W like, oh, we figured it out. This is the solution. Wow, we figured it out. This is how we saw it. We just ban parties in democracy that disagree with us. No. The whole point is the world is shifting. People are getting angrier and angrier. And if you can't literally measurably make lives better, then stopping democracy is not going to do it. In Germany, they debated banning the AfD. AfD won its best result since the post-war period. Okay? Second in the country, 20% of the country. Do you know who the only political figure in the world is that has actually made a serious difference in hurting the far-right parties? Can you guess? Who is the only person in the world that has had measurably decreased the polling of far-right parties? It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump has done more to fight these parties than any fucking government in Europe. Since Donald Trump's election, he has boosted the polling of Macron, Starmer, Trudeau, Carney, Zelensky, and Sheinbaum. Nobody has done more because these parties being exposed to some aspect of actually government, people don't like it. They realize it's not good for the economy. It doesn't solve their problems. But if you're in a situation where you are banning like whack-a-mole your opponents while not making people's lives better, they're going to get more and more desperate, angry, and radicalized. This is just a fact. And I'm sort of sick of having to explain it. You know, it's like people need to understand this. the idea that you have to save democracy from the voters is insane. It's authoritarian. It's fucking wild. I feel like people have to understand you have to beat these ideas at the ballot box. You have to convince people seriously that you have actual solutions to solve their problems, or they're going to go this way no matter what you do. You're just setting yourself up for violence or retribution or I believe this very strongly, and I want people to understand my take on this before jumping to instant conclusions. Again, Zelensky's approval up since Trump got elected. Starmer's approval up since Trump got elected. And if we don't take a serious look at these problems, then we're going to end up here.
That the Senate give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
Order! We shall have order!
Cinema. Anyway, that's my little rundown on the RN reaction today. And now we have two more things to talk about, but I can ask you any questions about that. I can even talk about it. I'm trying to read some questions. At the end of the day, you would never not argue that people Bolsonaro should be banned. I said I think Bolsonaro should be banned. But I'm saying even when you ban him, his party still surging. Okay? What I'm saying is the banning has no effect in stopping the problem that you are dealing with. And in fact, in many cases, is accelerating it. In many cases, it's making it worse, is what I'm saying. Okay? It keeps them out for a little while longer while making the problem worse. While, first of all, normalizing the idea of using lawfare against political opponents and entrenching and surging your opposition. It's insane. It's insane. What is the solution? Because now we have Trump legal suffering scholarly. What is it? Well, first of all, the solution to Trump in a democracy is Trump. That's the solution. If over half the country votes for Trump and then they get Trump and he fucking sucks, which he has so far, and he takes their 401k, then people understand that they don't fucking like Trump. Then you get a midterm surge for the opposition. Okay? That is, people saying no, it isn't, are not advocates of democracy. You are advocates of authoritarianism in a different name. People that say you get to decide. You decide who's bad and who's good and who people cannot vote for. It's fucking crazy. We have elections for a fucking reason. The reason people are voting these more radical ways across Europe, across America, across everywhere, is because they're not feeling seen or listened to or heard or some of you only pretend to support democracy. It's fucking crazy. It's like, it's wild. You cannot keep banning all political opponents and hoping that'll solve your problems and keeping your, you know what I'm saying? It's not you saying it's the law deciding, but the law had a lot of leeway in this particular instance and used it very leniently on people in different parties and used it more rigorously on Le Pen. which is just giving all of her allies and people in her party this huge surge of like, we're the underdogs, we're the heroes. It's not, in no way is it helping. It is only hurting. It is only causing more pain down the road. I feel like people are just so desperate for a win that they're trying to force this objectively like negative situation into something like it's crazy to me. I don't understand how she embezzled, no problem. Yes, she embezzled. So what you do is you do the same thing you did for everyone else, which is they have to pay the money back and you do a big fine. Maybe a massive fine. Keep the jail time. I don't give a shit. The point is there's fucking 37% of France trying to vote for her. And when you pull this move right before the election, it feels biased. It feels like it plays into their narrative. And then what it does is it just emboldens them. It feels like a misuse. And if at the same time, people are feeling like their lives in France are getting worse, then all it does is just make them push these fringes. What you're suggesting is far punishment because of emboldened. I'm literally not suggesting that. I literally just said she should be punished. I am literally saying, though, if you try to use charges like this to dismiss democracy at the ballot box, then you are going to cause problems for the very causes you support. You are not listening to me. You have me on mute. I think there's just too many governments that are getting scared of the fact that they are at the end of a debt cycle. Their populations are seeing their lives get measurably worse and getting understandably angry. And they're thinking they can ban their way or pull some kind of tricks to maintain power. And it's like that is not the only way you're going to maintain power historically is if you make people's lives better. Tana Care lived for 21 months. Do you have any tips for feeling left? I mean, listen, that's why I made specifically to pick only examples. Listen, there's a lot of quotes on this. I picked like 8 examples of people who are deeply left-wing in France who don't like this decision. I showed those examples. Okay? Listen to their words. It is a misread of the political moment. I think people are I think incapable of seeing that or don't like the rules of democracy. I don't feel like they don't see it. I feel like they want to switch it. They want to. And I agree. Listen, another thing about this is like, it'd be so much easier to justify this if Bayrou hadn't just been pardoned for the same crime in 2024. Do you understand? Like, if the rules are not applied effectively and the same across the board, it creates these narratives evenly. Yeah. And again, I spent a lot of time on this. I looked at all the people convicted of this crime and what across different countries and what their punishments were. In like 95% of situations, the punishment was you have to pay the money back. In 95% of people in MEP having assistants that weren't always used for parliamentary business, they had to pay the money back. That's it. Okay? So to turn this one to be more extreme and then barring from political office feels extreme. It feels to clarify that first for second round polls. I don't remember second round's 50-50. I think I feel like there's a very forest for the trees moment, right? She's run 3 times. Each time her result goes up. Why is that? Why is that? Answer that question. Why is that? Why does she get better every time in the result? Is it luck? Are people getting stupider? Is that what it is? People are getting stupider. Everyone's dumb. All voters can't be trusted. You should decide. Bro, this is crazy. I didn't know how many people here literally don't want democracy. Voters must be trusted over Trump. Fucking yes! That's the point of democracy! Motherfucker, you don't get to pick! Yes! Holy fuck, yes! Jesus Christ! By the way, just to fully understand, once people see these fucking the results of these votes, they generally turn against it. I mean, Trump's approval rating is dropping steadily. Elon Musk's approval rating is dropping quickly. I have a whole thing today about the fucking Liberation Day and how people feel about this economy. They're souring on it, okay? And we're not even in the first 100 days. Trump is literally flouting the rules of democracy with those third-term bullshit. Okay, but here's what you have to understand historically, okay? Here's what you have to understand. You don't have a choice. If the voters wanted this and then you try to ban it or push it off, and then at the same time, you don't make their lives better, then the problem gets bigger and worse. That's what you're not understanding. The status quo, you can't whack-a-mole all your opponents until it gets okay again. That's just, that's essentially fucking fact. That's authoritarianism anyway. You're not even democratic. Okay? The only solution is for a party that's not the one that you hate is to actually make things better. That's the only solution. I don't understand how you're not getting that. You are trying to find all these loopholes and tricks and rules other than that core fucking solution. That is democracy. Okay? By the way, I heard this more from young people than older people, but I hear it more. I think young people are getting fed up with democracy. I think more young people are like, I don't even like it. I want what Singapore has. I want a benevolent leader. Okay? I see it. And I want to remind people that there's a good, I think it's Churchill quote, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. The reason those fucking authoritarian rules, sometimes they can be good in the short term. But once you've set up society to have a single fucking leader, then that guy gives it to his kid or his nephew or someone else, and eventually it gets ruined. Eventually it goes to shit. Okay? You might get a Deng Xiaoping and things go up. You might get someone else and it goes down. Okay? Do you understand? That is the weakness long-term of that strategy. The ability to have different parties flow in and out based on the voters' wants in the moment is a power. It's occasionally a painful period for a democracy, but that's why it is long-term good. Okay? And I'm shocked that people have, I think it's just desperation. That's what it is. It's desperation, one way or the other. As people get more desperate, they tend towards authoritarianism. And I don't blame young people for being more desperate. They can't get a fucking house. They're mad. They're mad and they want some different solution. But I promise you, you're not going to like the way that road goes. History has so many lessons on the way that road goes. So, I think it's why people have problems with Le Pen. They think our long-term policies will be harmful, and they don't see or understand the short-term benefit that voters of Le Pen see because they don't like the party or see potential long-term harm. I don't understand your point. There's not a short-term benefit. I don't think she's going to be good. I'm saying is if you can't convince people of that at the ballot box, then you can't ban your way there. It's not I don't. What if we choose a benevolent guy and then after 4 years or something, choose the next one? What if we choose a benevolent dictator, but then every 4 years we vote him out and get a different benevolent dictator? Wait, that's pretty good. That's that you might have figured something out. Le Pen deserves to be banned from running. She's a criminal. Listen, bro, I don't even care that you believe that. I don't care. Like, it's fine. If you believe that, that's fine. I just want you to know that it will not play out the way you hope. That's really the point of the situation. That's the point of this presentation. It's that a lot of people are trying to pretend like this, oh, we did it. And it's like, that's, little bro, you're so wrong. It's so wrong. And if your solution is like, all right, we did it, well, back to status quo, you're fucked. You're actually fucked. So that's what you have to really understand. It's job is not even close to done. It's, if anything, you made the job harder. And so now you need to fucking, literally only because liberals are so weak. If the left had the balls of the right, shit would be over with. This whole pretend. Bro, it sounds like you just want authoritarian left. It sounds like you want the people you like to lock up their opponents and ignore the rule of law. Some of you are fucking crazy. I don't agree with any of it. No, I don't. I want democracy. That's the point. I'm shocked about the amount of people that just want I'm okay with might makes right if I have the might. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Wait, if I'm the one on top, that sounds pretty good. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why aren't radical left-wing parties receiving the same terms in favor of fascist parties? Are they just refusing radicals, right? No, they are. They are. Both, again, I don't like the terms far left, far right, because people, I actually don't care about them, but people get so mad because everyone sees their position as the central one. So they're like, we're not far. But what I'll say is, you call them the extremes of, not even the extremes, the whatever, the poles of a spectrum with the center are getting more people because people are dispersing out of the center groups because they're not making their lives better. People are going to the polls because we're at the end of a global debt cycle. Things are getting measurably worse. People are mad. They're upset. They can't get a fucking house. They can't. So they are trying. It's biased against the incumbent. Trump is living for your point. They tried to throw a book at him and beat him outside the polls and all those for the right. I mean, listen, it's a similar point. I think if the effort that went into trying to ban Trump from running had been put into running a better candidate than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris with a clear and coherent message, would have done 50 fucking times better than the reverse. Okay? Than the reverse. And all I'm hearing are governments trying the reverse. He broke the law, dude. I agree. You think I'm fucking pro January 6th? Only when Squeaks is in the room. Okay? But I'm not a fucking idiot. I learned how people work. I'm looking at the world. Okay? I'm trying to understand what actually has a plan to success. And I think a lot of people are doing these fucking desperate whack-a-moles. It's crazy. There's no understanding of, understand that in the same situation, you ban Trump from running, Kamala Harris fucking wins. 4 years later, you think the problem's over with? You think, you know what I'm saying? Do you understand? And it's probably massively elevated because Kamala Harris carries us through a fucking recession in 25, 26. And then we're not, do you understand? No. Let's not take the constitutional path that we've historically voted for if the laws that define what our democracy is aren't respected, also around democracy. You're not understanding. And it's frustrating. You are like either deliberately not understanding or you are not getting it, okay? I don't know how else to explain it to you. What I'm telling you is that regardless, if you ban him or you don't ban him, you have solved nothing. You have not solved the problem. I think you are being intentionally obtuse. Okay? And when in doubt, again, in the case of Trump or Bolsonaro, fine. I think it's a strong case. Okay? When in doubt, you need to be allowing people to vote the way they want to in a democracy. When in doubt. If it's borderline, let them vote, because it's a slippery slope to be banning political parties or people. Okay? Also, my belief is that banning them helps them. It doesn't hurt them. It helps them. Okay? It helps them. So, name one case. I named 5 in the presentation. I'm going to crash out, dude. I'm actually going to crash out. I'm going to crash out. I was actually so good until now. That guy saying name one case actually did it for me. I think I actually held so good for like 40 minutes. And then that guy said name one case. And I'm like, bro, I literally spent all day researching, putting together, showing the case. I'm getting baited. I'm actually getting baited. People being sent to Alpha Store when the project is for prices are up, questions at all time. Why actually Greenland? You're saying we're making it. So sorry. What would you like to do? OD 707. What's your solution? OD 707. What's your solution? He should be in jail. Okay, so Trump's in jail. It's November 2024. Kamala Harris wins. Okay, and then America saved? We're good? 51% of America was going to vote for Trump, but they couldn't because he was in jail, so now we're good. We did it. It's over? You solved the problem? You fixed it? We're not going to have any problems down the road? Thanks, Odie. That's a very smart, insightful comment. I can tell you're really thinking about this seriously and not being fucking reactionary or crazy or fucking on purpose dismissive of a nuanced argument. Present the nuance better than? What do you not understand, Pink and Island? What do you not understand? What's the nuance you don't get? Why do you make these presentations people go to? People do get it. I have a more authoritarian left chat than I perhaps would like. So I have to get more fiery in a live stream. But on YouTube, people get it. Big A, just ban them, it'll solve all your problems. That's exactly what I'm saying not to do. Banning wouldn't solve the problems. Do you understand? That's the whole fucking point. That's the whole fucking point. That wouldn't solve the problems. There isn't a silver bullet, but curtailing anti-democratic candidates is a start. Okay, brother. Solve the problems or do nothing at all. What I'm telling you is that, first of all, anti-democratic is a vague line that can be used in a variety of ways to box out parties that are not currently in power. Okay? So you have to be careful throwing that around. And when you get into the point where any party that's winning unexpectedly or the voters are supporting is suddenly anti-democratic, then you've actually removed yourself from a democracy. You have an autocracy that's just picking and choosing winners. Okay? You yourself are anti-democratic. The real way to have a functioning democracy is to get the voters to support the ideas that are good, the one that you want. If you can't do that, you're fucked anyway. What did Squeak say? I wonder if Trump would describe Joe Biden as anti-democratic. Perfect point! God, I fucking love Squeaks! God, I fucking love Squeaks! Yes! God damn, Squeaks is so fucking smart. Thank God for saying it. Yes, dude. Yes. Trump would describe Biden as anti-democratic and ban his party. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a fucking slope you don't want to be on. And it doesn't work. If fucking over half of America wanted Joe Biden and then Trump described as anti-democratic and tried to stop him, you think people are just going to shut up, fuck up, and move on? If a party is found to be very corrupt, should no charges be levied against them? That's not what I'm saying at all. Of course. We should have laws and they should be enforced. Yes, 100%. What I'm telling you is that specifically, this is about the Le Pen situation, where, again, they had a lot of leeway on the punishment and chose the one, again, specifically that would bar her from running on what is a procedural type crime. Okay? Specifically. And they are acting, the mood in the certain spaces is that good, we did it. That we fucking solved it. That, okay, Le Pen is defeated. It's over. We've stopped the movement in France. And it's not only not even close to true, but in fact, they've only helped it. Okay? So if you don't understand that and you're constantly trying to go, then you are making a mistake, a grave error. But I keep having to say this over and over because you're not listening. And you are repeating. I think you're doing a good job championing democracy on system ebbs and flows, but no one likes the analyst ref when you can critique our team. Wait, am I the ref calling fouls on the home team star? It says the insurrection rebellion clause and free in the American context will ignoring say the Constitution will be acceptable and political rise of right. Bro, the way people like you talk is that the political rise of the far right is something that just happens to you. You talk about it like it's the fucking wind. Like it's the winter. It comes and it goes. That's not how it works. It is in response. It is in response to things happening in life. They didn't just... All these Obama voters didn't one day wake up and vote Trump. They did it over the course of years as they felt their fucking earnings give way, as they felt harder to get a house and to get a middle class life. Okay? They are fucking... It's a misunderstanding of where this comes from. Stop being a hypocrite, Atrioc. I don't get why you're so sympathetic for right-wing parties. Is it because they allow you to lie your lies about playing Astrobot? What about Tears of the Kingdom? They're paying you for positive PR, so you never have to give us these gaming streams. We demand Astrobot justice for chatters. Do you think that even if this EU ban was punished the same way universally with a 5-year ban in office every time, that it would be treated as anti-democratic Mulder's base? I think it would do a lot less. Yeah, I think if this had been an offense that was always punished this way and taken with the same level of severity in all times, it would be much easier to make the argument that, hey, this is what we've always done it. But because it wasn't done that way, and this is the first time it's been punished so severely, it adds fuel to that fire, 100%. 100%. So about Elon for what? Okay, I do have to talk about Elon Musk, and I don't want to run out of time. I'm trying to think if I can answer any more questions, but a lot of people are just. I don't want to repeat the same thing. I'm trying to find. What would you cite as the premier cause of declining quality of life and related unrest in the world today? Honestly, I would blame it on the addiction of most of these countries we're talking about to debt. If I had to blame it on one thing, it would be the post-World War II decades and decades and decades of addiction to debt and printing. That has slowly but surely devalued their currency, created more wealth inequality, caused their manufacturing bases to ship elsewhere. And I would also blame, in America specifically, I would blame money in politics, like Citizens United. And then the third thing I'd blame is the wokes. That's the three. That's the big three, obviously. The woker. What if it has nothing to do with the economy, though? I disagree. I, in fact, think all issues are downstream from the economy. Essentially all of them. If the charges are legitimate, blocking her risks looking like political interference, which can erode public trust and even increase her support of making her seem like a victim. Democracies rely on open competition, and if bans become a tool against rivals, it pushes politics towards authoritarianism. If she's guilty, legal consequences follow, but silencing opposition through election bans undermines democracy himself. Typers, but I agree. Yeah, I think well said. I don't know if you just ChatGPT my presentation, but I don't know if you just asked ChatGPT to summarize what I've been saying, but I have been saying that. Yeah, that is what I believe. Yeah. You kind of GPT-ified it. All right, we got like 1 minute and then. I think more extreme chatters are arguing that democracy is already dead and the next election won't be a real one. I don't believe this. What would you say that legitimate concern, though? Then go get your gun. I disagree. All right, I disagree. If that's what you believe, go get your gun and get ready. Go plan. Okay. Do you believe that it's better that Trump was looking over conflict and Nazi things? I mean, honestly, I am of the opinion if my options are only Trump, Biden, Kamala, that I wish Trump had won in 2020. because then he would have inherited all the inflation consequences for his actions, and it would have been the most damning electoral disaster. But instead, even though both him and Biden printed a fuck ton of money, Biden got all the consequences during 21 and 22. And was unable to break those. Dude, people are, it's not accelerationist. It's not accelerationist in that it is of two systems people at least have to see. It's hindsight is 2020. It's like it's not acceleration that I'm trying to get the world to destroy itself. It's you can't have no solution but say that guy's wrong. Like if there's a problem and you have no solution, you can't be like, well, this guy I got a little story for you. So I was visiting my mom and she voted for Trump and now she had to cancel her trip because her husband's here on a green card and doesn't want to take any risks. She completely changed her mind and regrets her decision. Thought of your talk about how people can change their mind and shockingly you were right. Bro, there was a district, they just had to do like a rerun Senate election because a guy took a job and a district Trump won by 12 points, just got won by a Democrat. He won by 12 points in November, and it flipped. Like it's flipping. I don't know what the fuck. Like people can learn and change their mind. That's just how a democracy works, bro. And by the way, if they didn't flip, it's because they thought their life is improving. Your point of the party should do better policies, people won't move isn't wrong, but it kind of ignores the fact the point it's very, very hard to make good policy the majority will support. When the country's been wrong, party. Okay. My point is not like, I don't know if you guys know this. I don't have a button that decides the result of the election. I know you guys may think that I, as the streamer, have a button on my desk that decides the result of the election. I don't. I'm actually telling you what will happen. Regardless of my opinion, I'm telling you what will happen if you don't make people's lives better. It's not a choice. It's not like we can argue about it here and figure it out. Your opinion doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. I'm telling you about what will happen. Okay? And the fact that you guys can't understand that, not all you guys, some of you guys can't understand that. It's crazy. It's not a... Even though you're right on the money in a great presentation, one consequence of electing fascists is the humanity and democracy to let compete in. You have to trust the institutions to survive this next 4 years. Yeah, you do. You have to have faith in your institutions or you have to fight for them. Yeah, absolutely. But if you, what I'm saying is it's inevitable to have that showdown. It's inevitable to have that showdown if people's lives aren't getting better. That showdown has to exist. There's no shortcut to it. You can't skip around it if people's lives are getting worse. You know, Hitler came to power legally, so did Mussolini. What do you think the environment was like in Weimar, Germany that led to the rise of the Nazi Party and Hitler? Do you think Hitler arrived out of nowhere and everyone just loved him? What do you think? By the way, Hitler was jailed and still gained power. Are you just aware that Hitler was jailed? Do you understand my argument? Looking at history, we've been in times like this before. You know what happens, okay? Coincidence. It'll work this time, though. It'll work this time. Let's do the exact same thing Weimar, Germany did. That'll work. Lil Bro said, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to glizzy it. Okay. Feels like no reason President Canada has any actual plans for some of the big problems. I don't know about that. I think their plans are bad, but they've had plans. They talked about plans. I will say, I mean, I thought Harris went pretty small scale. You know, like Trump's grandiose and pretty stupid. Like his plans don't, but they sounded big and like they were up to the challenge of the time. They don't work. Tariffs aren't working. But Kamala was like, we're going to do a $22,000 housing credit for, you know, whatever. It just felt small ball. You know, it felt like, I think Bernie's pretty good at articulating that. Hey, note to Joy. They give it the 5 gifted. When she said, I can't think of anything I would have done different from Biden as a journalist. Yeah, that was on The View, right? That was bad. That was bad just because, again, it's not reading the political moment, dude. People were rightly feeling worse off than 4 years ago. And so, it just wasn't a good campaign. I was like, Tudor Panamac, thank you for the gifted. And the idea that like, you can run a worse and worse candidate and it's fine as long as you, I don't know, can lock opponents out of running. This is not going to work. It's not going to work. But I've already made that case. Some of you like it, some of you don't. It's very interesting. I'm sure there'll be many absurdly annoying Reddit posts about it. But I need to talk about other things. Let's see. I need to talk about. It's actually not very long, but it's gonna be a clip. Okay, so you guys may or may not know. Oh, why is this not the right size? As you guys may or may not know, Elon Musk has just purchased X.com again from himself. As of a few days ago, Twitter was purchased again for the same amount, $44 billion, but this time from himself to himself. Now, you may have been wondering how this works, because until recently, the Twitter takeover was the worst buyout for banks since the financial crisis. Again, if you guys don't know, Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion. It was speculated that he dramatically overpaid. The value of Twitter in private markets, said by the banks, kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until it was like, I don't know, 19 billion maybe, 15, 19 billion. So it was like less than half of what he bought it for. considered a big loss. Until recently, out of nowhere, it seems, X.com was valued at $44 billion again. This is before he bought it. Just like about a month ago, it was like, hey, it's $44 billion. And so I looked into it and I was like, why did it suddenly become worth $44 billion again? What happened? Did the amount of users go up? No. Did the amount of advertisers go up? No. It turns out that he had gifted X.com 25% ownership of X.ai, which makes Grok. So X.com, Twitter, owned 25% of Grok. And we are in an environment right now where AI companies are very, very valuable. X.ai is very valuable. People want to invest in X.ai. They don't want to invest in X. So by giving it 25%, it made X. I mean, it's like there was a time in history when Yahoo.com was worth like $40 billion, and $39 billion of that was the stake in Alibaba they owned. Like Yahoo owned like 18% of Alibaba, and that was the entirety of Yahoo's value. Okay? X owned X.ai, part of it. So it had this value. It was back to its original value. Now, I want you to understand that because it's a private company dealing with another private company, and they both have the same backing bank, Morgan Stanley, Elon Musk can theoretically assign whatever value he wants to either of these companies as long as his investors don't revolt. Why would they revolt if he's assigning high values to things they've invested in? They have no reason to. So what he did was he had X.com, which again is not doing well, has $12 billion in debt, has been performing poorly. He's got a Saudi prince who is the second largest shareholder who's kind of pissed that he spent all this money to buy Twitter with Elon and it's losing money. Okay? The other shareholders were Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, a couple banks. They put all this money to help Elon Musk buy Twitter and it's down. They're kind of pissed at him. So what does he do? He gets his extremely valuable, extremely buzzy AI company during a time of huge AI hype to buy his other company that's not doing so well. This allows him to prop it up and gets him a lot more time. This company was had loans guaranteed by Twitter shares. This company had debt with due payments. This company had problems and angry investors. But now all the investors in this company get to be invested because it was an all stock deal. So everybody that owned a piece of X gets wiped out and given shares in X.ai, which is worth, according to Elon and some investors, much more. X.ai is very buzzy and popular right now. Now, how is this legal? This is not illegal. This is not even a scam. This is honestly just kind of a smart business move, to be honest. The only person that loses in this situation is that investors in X.ai now have this struggling business bought for $45 billion. So he's helping everybody that invested in this business by hurting everybody that invested in this business. Okay? But they don't seem to mind. They don't fucking care. So I'm not mad. I don't give a shit about fucking Sequoia Capital or whatever investor in X.ai is overpaying for Twitter. Fine. It doesn't bother me. It's a smart move because it gets all the urgent problems of X off of Elon's books and onto this bubbly, buzzy company that can raise money really easy. That's it. People want me to make this whole presentation about how Elon Musk is running this grand scam. It's not a scam. This is all perfectly legal and fine. It's just that all of this only works if this company stays popular and buzzy and demanded by investors. AKA, as long as the AI bubble is still huge. As long as the AI bubble is still huge, this is fine. And again, it doesn't like it throws away his problem. He just moved it around. But what it does is it gets all of the liabilities of Twitter kind of off of his personal books and onto the books of this $80 billion valued AI company. Yeah, he's basically, if anyone's getting scammed, it's the investors in this company who are overpaying for Twitter. But since all these investors are like the same people, they're happy to be part of the buzzier AI company than this one. That's the long and short of it. That's what happened. And just to fully explain, like these people, like the Saudi prince and like Sequoia Capital, they were down 70, 80% and they were pissed at Musk. And so he gifted them these XAI shares, which helped the valuation get back. And then he bought it with XAI. And that's it, baby. So not say once, but if the AI bubble pops, then this whole thing is back to square one of the same problem, which has got an unprofitable business. X is still not profitable, just to be clear. It's not like it's suddenly worth 45 billion because it became profitable. It's not profitable. It's just but also it is worth saying, if this were not Elon Musk and this were a different AI company, it's not even a bad deal. I mean, this is too expensive, but like acquiring a social media platform is not a bad idea because OpenAI was paying $2 million a month to use Twitter's data until Elon Musk cut them off. Like all they want is training data. The only problem is, and this is the dirty secret for XAI investors, is that they were already getting all this data. Like they didn't have to spend 45 billion for it. They were already getting it. It's obvious, like everything they're talking about, like the synergies of the two platforms, they were already getting it. Grok was already being used on Twitter. It was already training from Twitter. There's no advantage. Like all the claims they make about how good it's going to be, they were already doing it. So there's no reason to spend 45 billion except to bail Elon out. But that's what it is. It's a bailout of Elon by Elon. However, there's other issue. Again, this particular issue, I think people wanted to be more serious. This definitely buys Elon some time on X.com, not being a well-run website, but it's not that big of a deal. This is fine. I think he's within his rights to do it. The problems I have with Elon lately are about what he's doing in Wisconsin, where he is directly influencing the election by showing up and saying, we have $1 million a day checks, lotteries, to try and get people to vote. And you can, you don't even need to be from Wisconsin. You should need people in the state to hold a picture of Team Schimmel and go thumbs up with the other hand. Every time you do that, you get $20. The goal is to build awareness about the election tomorrow. So this offer applies today, tomorrow. You can make over $1,000 in one day by just getting out to vote in Wisconsin. I mean, he's just throwing money at these fucking elections. And when some people protest or show up to like tell him that there's a problem with this.
Yeah, it's really wild. So, it was inevitable that at least a few Soros operatives would be in the audience. Give my regards to George. Say hi to George from me.
And then?
USA, 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 USA. Yep.
That was the worst USA chant I've heard. Anyway, he blamed it all on George Soros. Now, George Soros is actually donating in this election, but I gotta point out that his donations don't even match the amount that Elon is giving directly to voters, let alone the amount he's giving through PACs. And all of this is what, 2 million to 20 million, pales in comparison to the 300 million Elon pumped into this election. So when people, by the way, it's worth mentioning that this guy right here is, I don't know if I found his social media, but he's like the head of the Wisconsin Young Republicans. It just feels, it doesn't feel like a lottery, bro. It doesn't feel like a lottery. It feels very, very lucky. Very lucky that he won the million. At the same time as this is happening, his baby mama, Ashley St. Clair, is selling her Tesla because he caught her child support.
I'm selling it because I need to make up for the 60% cut that Elon made to our son's child support.
Why do you think that he did that?
That's a great question for him.
You feel like he was sort of like vindictive against you in some way?
Yeah, that's his modus operandi when women speak out.
When was the last time that you spoke to him or tried to speak to him?
February 13th?
That he's just not responding to you at all? And how would you characterize sort of the way that he's going about?
Father of the year.
You can check the stocks. I am. I'm not the only.
Don't hit the stocks.
We're not going to get you.
Okay, and so, generally I would support her. He's the richest man in the world. He should be paying his child support. There's no such thing as a perfect victim, but I do get a little annoyed when it's I feel bad for the kid, but this is a very leopard eating your own face moment, because when she was wooing Elon on Twitter, she said this. It's like, that's kind of a fucking backfire, huh? Jesus Christ. So, yeah, I'm upset with Elon, but not really for this. I think this is fine. If anything, it's a smart business move. I don't have any affiliation or care for X.AI investors, so if they want to vote for it, that's fine. And that's the Elon update. Is there anything else I want to say about Elon? I think that's it. I'm actually sick of talking about Elon lately, bro. You can't invest. You cannot buy X.AI. It's a private company. It's not for sale. Though I do think, much like CoreWeave, he may try to make it go public to dump the shares on regular people because they're going to want an exit. Again, I don't believe it's worth the combined $100 billion he says it's worth. He gets to make up the valuation because it's all private and it's all with the same bank. So he can say that it's worth $100 billion and that Twitter was worth $45 billion when he bought it. But the only way you find out what it's actually worth is for it to go public, or to raise another funding round. And until he's done either of those things, it's just a fiction. And I think if he goes public, I doubt people were going to, like, same thing with CoreWeave. CoreWeave went public and it's down, I don't know, 10% day one. Is Tesla's valuation no longer tied to Twitter purchase? It was never tied to his Twitter purchase, but he had contractual obligations. Tesla shares were guaranteed against Twitter, to where if Tesla dropped a certain amount, he would have to sell shares to backstop Twitter. Now he doesn't have to do that. Now he's free from that obligation. So he's basically ring-fenced the Twitter debt into X.AI, which is a company that can raise money a lot easier and has more money. Sounds like a problem that it's legal to make up your valuation to the public. Well, no, because the consumer still has to buy it. Like, I could tell you these sunglasses are worth $400 million. You want to buy it? You still have to buy it. Okay, I'm not forcing you to buy it. Dude, this guy said Big A's afraid to answer real questions and goes for softballs, and I was pissed off. I was about to fucking crash out on him. So I pulled up his chat history, And the question he wanted me to answer was, hey, Big A, I don't send chat messages very often, but I have to ask, what are your thoughts on Glizzy? Dude, I was about to fucking lose it on you. I was about to fucking lose it on you, dude. I was about to fucking snap. Your kindness, though, baby. Glizzy, glizzy, glizzy. Are there any sales tax implications? That's another reason why it was kind of a smart business move. No. He did an all-stock deal, so nobody has to cash out or pay any tax. There's no sales tax implications. Until they have an exit, there are no taxes. Answer the question? I did. I said glizzy, glizzy, glizzy. I answered it. That's my response. With AI competitors flooding the market, it's possible for XAI to actually compete. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think XAI is worth $100 billion, bro. It doesn't make any money. It's a money-losing business. But we're in the phase of the AI thing where nobody knows who's going to win yet. So, you know, and Grok is good at math and science, my understanding. I haven't used it because I don't want to pay for a check. But I've heard that Grok is a high benchmark scorer for math and science. It's free. Yeah, but I spend $200 a month on ChatGPT, so I'm not going to use Grok, bro. I've got DeepSeek to talk to my man Xi Jinping, and I've got ChatGPT Elite mode. I'm not going to use Grok. Yeah, I think Grok is good, and I think the Twitter training data is an advantage for sure. Everyone is desperate for training data of humans actually talking. But I don't think it's going to beat ChatGPT or Google or, you know, any of the big ones. Sounds like Elon doesn't believe Tesla share value will rebound. What else would he protect? Tesla banks and loans. Well, it's like a win-win. I mean, the only way he loses on this deal is if if the AI bubble pops, people will realize that it's not worth what he says it is. So I don't really think he's saying much at all with it, except that it's the smart move to get the Twitter debt off his books. Because he also had he's got a Saudi prince pissed at him. He's got a Saudi prince pissed that the guy gave him money to buy Twitter and Twitter's fucking down. So the guy wants XAI shares. He gives it to him. It's a fucking win-win. Couldn't grocery stores put microphones everywhere, record the audio, make it to a transcript, and sell it to AI companies? I think there's laws about recording someone without their consent. But yes, if it was legal, yes, you probably could do that. They would buy AI would buy any training data. Wait, are you telling me that LeBron? Wait, don't lie to me. Oh my God, LeBron just got a game-winning block and the Lakers won? Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go! Rejected! Fucking rejected. Damn, 2-win streak? My goats. What was the box score? Let me see that. Let me see that box score. Dude, I'm fucking Lakers. Luka with 20. DFS with 20. Gabe Vincent with 20. LeBron with 16. Austin Reeves with 12. Wait, what? Wow, crazy game, dude. Bronny James with 140 points? A new record? Holy shit, beating Wilt? Typical Bronny. Typical Bronny. The block? Oh, you even got a fucking link for me? Let me see, dude. That's my goat. LeBron with the incredible block to help seal the win. Yes, baby.
And they give him space. Şengün inside.
Boom!
LeBron erases the shot. LeBron blocks the shot. And they give him space. Şengün inside.
No! That's beast, dude. Bro's 40. He's 40! That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm 40. First of all, I'm not 40. But I did ball out on Sunday, so I'm basically LeBron level. Don't get your hopes up, little bro. My hopes are up. My hopes are through the roof. I'm confident Lakers will win the championship. Lakers in 5. Every win, I'm confident they'll win, and every loss, I think it's over. Okay? OKC in 4. Dude, it is going to be like OKC versus the Cavs, and it's going to be good basketball, but not that exciting. I guess it might be good finals. Celtics slander? I fucking hate the Celtics. I fucking hate the Celtics, so... Liberation Day, I'll do it tomorrow. Liberation Day's the 2nd anyway. And that way I can add a couple more slides. I'll do Liberation Day tomorrow. Well, there's a fucking good video I want to watch, though. Wait. Wasn't there a fire fucking video that I literally thought it would be good to watch with chat? Where did I save it? Oh, yeah, this one about governments being addicted to debt. This is so Marketing Monday coded. It's an FT video.
Government borrowing is the biggest issue in finance today.
Agreed.
Governments around the world are addicted to debt.
The sovereign debt levels globally have just grown exponentially.
In the case of the developed countries, the average ratio of public debt to GDP is now back to where it was in 1945. That's rather striking.
It's politically impossible to solve.
Exploding debt is a real worry. If you're an investor, you start wondering what's going to happen and whether there's going to be debt default.
The music stops when you get a major crisis.
The big question is, at what point does the bond market break?
We just don't want the bond yield to get up to a point where it crushes the economy, because then the bond vigilantes will have taken their vengeance.
A determined central bank can always override any market pressure.
I think bond investors should be terrified.
The debt addiction.
Let's face it, the world is addicted to debt. Pretty much every country, okay, leaving Germany aside, has very large amounts of government borrowing.
When was this made? It's true that Germany hasn't been, but they just did. They just borrowed a fuck ton. Dude, I'm quiet? Okay.
Started to take it as so normal now that
video's loud. I see.
Governments borrow enormous amounts of money relative to their GDP.
The US,
dude, look at
Japan, Canada, Italy, France, all of these countries have very high debt levels by historical standards.
Wherever you look, you see problems of government debt or deficit. The US, where the deficit is about 7% of GDP. China also has a very large deficit.
It's a playbook that we've seen going back at least to the global financial crisis. You borrow your way out of trouble, and the way that you pay for that borrowing is more borrowing. And we don't seem to have a way out of this cycle at the moment, at least in some of the biggest economies in the world.
In the case of the developed countries, the average ratio of public debt to GDP is now back to where it was in 1945. That's rather striking. A great deal of this has to do with huge shocks.
So the global financial crisis, then we had COVID, then we had war in Europe. And each time, governments...
And it's not just governments, too. I mean, it's individuals. I think we have the highest mortgage default rate since the GFC. We've got the highest credit card rate since they started measuring it. We've got highest auto defaults since 2011. We've got why not double it and pass it on? I like where your head's at. Why don't we just give all the debt to one person and then kill them? And say, oops, no one can pay it back. An all-stock deal with ourselves. Wait a minute. What if we have Elon make another company that says worth $100 gajillion and he buys all of the world's debt in an all-stock deal? And we all just let it go.
Found quite correctly they need to be, as it were, the insurers of last resort.
Following COVID, we had this global spike in inflation, interest rates going through the roof. That means much, much more expensive debt servicing costs, debt interest costs for government.
Debt to GDP levels are roughly 100%, so the same amount of debt as these economies produce every year. The projections are they rise, rise, and rise to the point where it gets a bit explosive.
My name is Olivier Blanchard. I've been a professor at MIT all my life, but I took a leave to go to VRMF. I joined
I just want people to say, if you are interested in geopolitics or what's going on in the world or elections, and people aren't talking about this, then you're wasting your time. I can't be clear enough. If you're not talking about this, if this is something you're ignoring, this is like the core. This is the root of like all of these problems. This is the fucking bottom rung of the fucking ladder that's holding it all up. So if this is something that's too boring for when you're going to discuss it, then it's not. Then you're not getting answers.
2008 had to deal with the global financial crisis and then the euro crisis. There's a number of countries which are addicted to that, and I think the disease can hit any country at any time.
I'm Ray Dalio. I'm the founder of Bridgewater Associates, the largest hedge fund in the world. I'm a global macro investor. When debts accumulate and interest payments accumulate, the debt service payments...
Did you say, why is Ray Dalio so hot? Really? That's your type? Ray Dalio's your type? You're swiping right on this guy? Zaddy AF?
Squeeze other spending. And it's
Whoa, what are you squeezing? What are you squeezing, Ray? Wait a minute.
particular problem when there's a need to borrow money in order to make debt service payments and the spiral begins.
Bonds are effectively an IOU. It's a way that the government can say to an investor, okay, you lend me this amount of money for this amount of time, and I will give it back to you after that amount of time. And in the interim, I will pay you interest payments called coupons. Now, because there are loads of different bonds, they've all got different maturities, they've all got different coupons attached to them, it can be a little bit difficult to compare apples with apples. So to do that, what we do is compare the yields that are available on bonds. Yields go up when prices go down. What governments generally don't want is for yields to go up too quickly or too fast, because that jacks up borrowing costs for everybody around the country. That's why you need a good bedrock of support, of buying support for bonds.
One man's debts are another man's assets. So in order to hold the debt, it has to be attractive. Then there is what some people...
Dude, everything he says sounds flirty now that he said that. Everything he says sounds a little flirtier now that you said, like, he's kind of like the Bond guy, you know? He's got a little riz.
People call the debt death spiral, which means that there's selling of debt when there's worry about that.
People have been warning that this is getting out of control. That drumbeat is definitely...
Bro, when a country's debt increases to the point that it can't be paid off without borrowing more money, we are long past that. We're there. We're deep in that. We're so far past that. We are doing that right now. 100%. We are literally borrowing money to pay interest on our previous debt.
That this is getting out of control. That drumbeat is definitely getting louder now. We have seen the odd episode where it's looked like investors are saying, we're not buying any more of your bonds. That's when people start to get really jumpy.
I'm Karen Ward. I'm the Chief Market Strategist at JP Morgan Asset Management. So my job is to advise clients on what's going on around the world and help them make the best investment decisions.
Slow-mo.
The level of government borrowing is certainly one of the top questions I get asked amongst clients today. Government debt is supposed to be our safe haven asset. It's supposed to be the bedrock of our portfolio. It's supposed to be the boring bit.
I'm Greg Peters, Co-Chief Investment Officer of PG.
They have so many slow-mo of, like, finance guys. They're not fucking Jason Statham. Why we got slow-mo people walking down
In fixed income. From a bond investing standpoint, what I worry about is inflation, right? And so inflation on the rise is just so difficult from an overall portfolio standpoint to protect yourself.
Bonds hate inflation. It's like kryptonite for them. They just can't live with it because it eats into their returns.
In a world where we're also being met with inflation shocks, then the role of government bonds as that safe haven diversifier that many investors look to isn't quite so clear.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I've been saying everything is different since COVID is because all the things that worked basically for, I mean, since post-World War II, but especially since 71, all the things that worked finally broke when we got real, sustained bad inflation in 21. Once you get real, sustained bad inflation, then the whole fucking borrowing system starts to break. And then the solutions, which are like raising interest rates, break everything else. But you have to do them because inflation is so politically damaging. People hate it so much. It's so violent response because it ruins people's ability to buy fucking groceries and food. So
there are times when, an increase in debt is completely justified. Wars, or preparing for wars, or COVID. These are cases where you have to spend more. What we have seen in many countries is not that. It's basically just tomorrow is another day type behavior.
The world has been addicted to debt because debt has been for free.
I want to expand on that. I mean, there's two different schools of thought economically, but even in the one that we sort of follow, which is like the Keynesian one, the idea is when you're not in a war and not in a depression, not in a recession, that's when you save money. That's when you should have surpluses and have savings and have money so that you can spend dramatically in the down times to get aggregate demand back. So you can get, I don't even necessarily agree with that, but I think even if you're going to go that route, that's what you have to do. But we don't do that. We don't do that. We spend like crazy in the recession, and then we spend more when things are good again, and then we spend more until the bubble's so fucking big and inflated that when it finally breaks, our only solution is to spend even more. We fucking just pump the bubble. And now we've done this more than ever in human history, and we're at the end of like the biggest fucking bubble ever. And the amount of money we'll need to fucking fix this problem is crazy. They might have to print for that. The two Santas problem? I don't know what that means, but that sounds hilarious. What is the two Santas problem?
So we're coming out of this zero negative interest rate world where there's been nothing but encouraging taking on more debt.
I'm Stephanie Kelton, and I'm a professor of economics and public policy at Stony Brook University. I do a lot of public speaking, finance, hedge fund, investment bank. That's my crowd. I can poll them before I go in and say, how many people think we should be reducing budget deficits? Almost every hand goes up. How many people are worried about the national debt? Almost every hand goes up. When I put this graph up, everything changes. This is the United States of America. The government has been running deficits for virtually my entire life. But look up, and they see surpluses in the rest of the world and surpluses in the U.S. private sector. If you want to eliminate the government deficit, you're going to erase all of the other surpluses because the one is creating the other. The government deficit is doing something very useful, which is creating a surplus, allowing the rest of us to net save. Their red ink is our black ink.
My name is Russell Napier, an advisor to investment institutions. One of my joys is also to be the keeper of the Library of Mistakes, a business and financial history library here in Edinburgh.
Cool.
There is an issue with there being too much borrowing in the government sector, but it has to be seen in conjunction with too much borrowing in the private sector. If we lived in a country where government debt to GDP was high, but the private sector debt to GDP was low, then the consequences of this government debt addiction would actually be quite different.
Private borrowing, private debt and private markets are, in my view, just as big a problem. Really big private busts cause explosion of government debt. After the financial crisis, until the pandemic, and really a year or two after the pandemic, all we were worried about was inadequate demand and deflation. That was a world in which monetary policy was aggressively stimulative. Inflation has come back and the inflationary pressures seem quite strong.
When you're dealing with government's requirements in the political system, there's a desire for spending. When you get credit and you can hand things out on credit,
that's awesome.
At that time, it's better. Credit produces debt.
One of the ways we tried to deal with that situation for the last decade was to try and cut back on other areas of spending. But that's actually left us with a new problem. We haven't been committing enough to public services, public infrastructure. And you can see that the pressure is on governments around the West to, if you like, make up for the lost spending that happened during the decade of austerity.
You've got all these pressures which are building up. We've got quite weak growth, so you don't have hugely rapidly growing tax revenues.
You're gambling with World War III.
A more uncertain global security world, defense is going to become more of a priority, not less. An aging population. There's a green transition. Now, a lot of that needs some sort of public support to make it happen faster. And we're likely to see interest rates much higher than they were before, and that adds an additional burden.
We've now got to the point where it's pretty normal for governments to borrow on a kind of crisis pace every year.
Yeah.
In a world of...
Yeah, I mean, again, we're not in a fucking war. 2023, 4, 5, where there's no COVID. Fake disease. There's no world war. There's no... You know what I'm saying? We're spending debt GDP levels like it's World War II. We're spending World War II level debt levels. Imagine if we get a war or we get a fucking crisis or a great financial crisis. It's the level of spending now has gotten absurd just to keep things baseline. It's like a drug.
Low inflation, you can get away with this. Bond investors will fund you and fund you and fund you.
Australia has a surplus for the first time. Is that true? Peter Dunn says you. Your message got cut off, which I'm sorry, but I will say that often when a government finally gets even the tiniest surplus, the first solution is for I'll just say a George Bush type, but whatever, to come in and give the world's biggest fucking tax cuts. They give the biggest fucking tax cuts. They go fucking crazy on tax cuts and just destroy the surplus. I don't know if that's I couldn't read what you said what Dutton will do, but that's the general response is like, oh, we got a surplus? Well, then we can give that back to the people, and they do a massive fucking tax cut and then just create the problem again. Is that what happened to Clinton about on the boat? Yeah. Yeah, Clinton left Bush with a surplus for the first time since fucking pre-Reagan, I don't know when we last had one before. And Bush's first thing was to give that back to the people. We're going to create jobs. And did a fucking huge tax cut. And then at the same time, started a war in Iraq and Afghanistan. So we borrowed a lot more money at the same time as we cut taxes, and we couldn't afford it anymore. And we got really, really big deficits. Biggest deficits ever? No, deficit got way bigger after that. Then the next biggest deficit was Obama/Bush for the great financial crisis, where we did a fucking $800 billion bailout, which was crazy at the time. Now it seems small. Now we do $800 billion in 80 days. But it was huge for the time, huge fucking deficit. And then we got to COVID, where Trump absolutely blew the fucking back out of the deficit, $3 trillion, something like that. And then Biden, 21, goes, yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. And that was it. That was finally the line. Biden and Trump Eiffel Towered the deficit, bro. And why couldn't it be me? Ignore Trump's tax cuts? I'm not doing that. That was part of the deficit. That's why the deficit was extra big. Revenue went down. That's what deficit is. It's lowered revenue and increased spending.
But in a world where it is not likely that inflation stays low, that is when time is called upon the whole thing. Supply and demand.
Yeah. Exactly. Is that Russell Napier?
The
That's
bond
so
market
true.
was
Yes.
the ultimate arbiter, right, of fiscal response.
It's inflation that calls. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, inflation is what breaks the whole thing. That's why all this stuff governments are addicted to doing just doesn't work when there's inflation. When there's inflation, you just don't have the same tools. You just can't do it. And then
the bond vigilantes, so to speak, step in and actually focus the mind of politicians.
I'm Ed Yardeni. I'm the president of Yardeni Research, focusing on global macroeconomic and financial markets. I've been doing this for over 45 years. And I first wrote about the bond vigilantes in July of 1983. And during the
inflation is good for the debtor. Yes, it is good for the debtor. That's correct. If you are the United States government and you have a fuck ton of debt, you want inflation. That's true. But if you are the United States citizen that votes for the government, you fucking hate inflation. Nothing the average citizen hates more than inflation. Historically, back to the days of Rome, people fucking hated inflation because that's your purchasing power. That's your regular life. You earn a wage. You have some little bit of savings. It ruins it. Gets rid of it all. It leaves you penniless. There's a great book on Weimar Germany. What's it fucking called? Gosh, it's a good book. I want to recommend this book. I think it's called When Money Dies. Am I correct? It is. Yeah. It's called When Money Dies. And it's about Weimar Germany inflation and what it was like to live through that. The nightmare of hyperinflation in Weimar Germany. And it has really like vivid examples from actual people of just how corrupting and devastating that is for people's trust in anything. If you get to the point of hyperinflation, it's kind of over. It's just over. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you get paid one day and then the next day it doesn't buy the same amount. Like if your paycheck one day can buy a loaf of bread and then you go to the store next day and it can't afford it. You know what I'm saying? That's the end of the cycle, but it's important. It's like that's so the tricks you have of printing money no longer work once you're in an inflationary environment. It's over. It's Roman Emperor Diocletian set some of the world's first price controls to fight inflation in 301 AD. That's right. It was called the Edict on Maximum Prices, and it didn't work. Within 4 years, he was out of power. It caused people to murder merchants. It caused violence. It caused distress. It caused anger. It caused black markets. It caused... At least he tried.
1970s, bond investors got killed. Inflation soared and bond yields went up dramatically. And I argued that if the fiscal and monetary authorities were not going to maintain discipline, that the bond vigilantes would take over and they would push bond yields up to levels that could slow the economy down and bring inflation down. We just don't want the bond yield to get up to a point where...
Bond vigilante sounds fancier than it is. It's basically like, hey, if I don't believe that you're going to pay me back, I'm not going to buy your IOU. That's all it is. They make it sound like a fucking outlaw Wild West. I'm a bond vigilante. It's not. It just means I'm not going to buy your IOU if I don't think you're going to pay me back. That's all it is. And what that means, like it happened in the example I use all the time is Liz Truss. Liz Truss was the prime minister of the UK for like fucking 12 days. She didn't outlast the head of Lesis. She came into office. She said, I'm going to cut taxes. I'm going to raise spending. And then all of a sudden, the market for UK debt went to zero. Like no one was buying. The bond vigilantes came in and just stopped buying debt. And it instantly fucked up their whole financial system. And so they kicked her out. That's essentially what happened. She came in and said, I'm going to massively cut taxes. I'm massively raise spending. And they instantly got bond vigilante because now the U.S. can get away with so much. We can like literally cut taxes and raise spending so much and borrow so much because we're the world reserve currency, because we have the biggest, deepest financial markets, because everybody still wants U.S. government debt. But we've hit the limit. Like we have so much more privilege than any other country, and we've pushed it to the max, dude.
It crushes the economy, because then the bond vigilantes really will have taken their vengeance.
We've seen all this rise in debt without the bond vigilantes stopping it, with a few exceptions. So what did we see in 2022 in the UK? The bond markets decided that...
I swear to God I didn't pre-watch. I swear to God. I swear to God above I did not pre-watch this video. I swear that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, obviously I read the FT, okay? So I'm sure they're just saying things they say, and I swear to God. This is probably something I've learned from the FT, but when it happened, not in this video. Tell it to the judge.
That the Liz Truss government didn't have a clue.
Our gift to the world is showing everyone what can go wrong if you push.
I read the manga. I read the manga, dude. I read the manga. I'm spoiling the episodes.
The bond market too far.
Mr. Speaker, I am a fighter and not a quitter.
Bond investors talk about Liz Truss moments. We all remember back end of 2022,
Okay,
Liz
well, I've already
Truss and her
explained this.
Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng effectively blew up the gilts market. Prices fell incredibly quickly.
Gilts, by the way, are what they call treasuries in the UK because they have to have fancy fucking names because they have a gold edge. Their IOUs have a nice gold edge and they call them gilts.
Triggered a lot more very aggressive selling, and it all got out of hand very quickly, and it took the Bank of England to steady the ship. Governments around the world live in dread of doing that to their bond markets because immediately you could see in the UK during that episode that borrowing costs went through the roof, people's mortgage costs went through the roof. Bond markets matter in real life because it really hits the average household in the pocket pretty hard.
The UK is, front and center in many respects around the concerns of debt sustainability.
So I don't think it's particularly a fiscal credibility problem here in the UK. There are questions over the long-term growth prospects here.
We don't want to get this out of proportion. There isn't a UK markets crisis happening right now like what we saw 2 or 3 years ago with Liz Truss.
This government inherited quite a relatively tight fiscal position. Maintaining fiscal tightness is going to be very difficult because the pressures for spending are just so strong.
The big question is, when the big boy here, the US, which has the biggest deficits, has completely unsustainable debt profiles.
Big boy.
When do the bond vigilantes take against the US?
That is the big
US
question.
Is really at the heart
That is
of
the
this
big
entire
question.
issue. It's the linchpin of the global economy. It's
obviously, I'm biased, but I fucking love this video so far. I'm thinking it's doing a good job of explaining what I think is so important, bro. I think it's the elephant in the room that everybody ignores.
bond market is worth more than $20 trillion. It has a bigger deficit than most Western countries. And then you have Donald Trump coming into office.
Worst case, you're looking at 10 years forward, 160% debt to GDP. That is an eye-popping, staggering number.
The US federal government spent $880 billion on debt interest last year. That's 4 times the level of a decade ago. And it's more than they spend on the military, almost as much as they spend on health. If the way that you pay for debt is to issue more debt, you're vulnerable to a rise in interest rates, and that's exactly what's happened.
It's approaching 25% of all revenues just to pay back the debt. And
that's why we need another huge Trump tax cut. And to not cut a fucking penny from the military. Okay? And maybe a $5,000 stimmy check while we're at it, because Doge has been doing such a good job. Surely the tariffs will pay for the debt. Yeah, surely the tariffs will pay for the debt. Yes. Yes, the tariffs will do it.
And that is the classic debt trap, right? It's a hole that you can't dig out of, and you can't inflate your way out.
Well, the US is running an enormous deficit, about 6% of GDP, which in peacetime, at full employment, remember, is extraordinary. I mean, it's absolutely enormous. And the trajectory for US debt, if you look at standard forecasts, I mean, it's very, very disturbing. Since it's the most important country with the most important currency.
The projected amount of debt that has to be sold, which equals the deficit, is 7.5% of GDP. And at existing interest rates, that raises also debt service a lot. So it's right at that precipice. I think the way that you address this issue is you make a bipartisan, cross-party lines commitment to 3% of GDP.
People are so conditioned to hear the word deficit and think it's a pejorative. And what I think we have is a linguistic problem. We're using words.
I'm not gonna get baited into crashing out on Stephanie Kelton because I want to make a real serious video and take it seriously and like go through the arguments point by point. I've read her whole book twice. I've watched her fucking TED Talk. I've watched her fucking movie. She's a very slippery used car salesman talking about this. I will definitely do it, but I'm not going to do it in the middle of this fucking video and waste a good thing. What I will say here is that we do not have a linguistic problem. We have a debt problem. We have a debt problem. Okay? It's not the words we use. It's not
It's like deficit and debt to describe things that are really quite benign. When people say they're very worried about the government deficit, what they're saying is, I'm very worried about the financial surplus
That's not what they're saying.
That's in the non-government part of the economy. Call it the net contribution instead of the deficit. Call it the cumulative net contribution instead of the debt. The temperature would come down a lot if people understood that the thing we're fighting over is our financial surplus and our savings account.
The Trump administration, once they realized that they were going to go into the White House, they had to at least make some effort to satisfy the bond vigilantes. And so suddenly we have the DOGE department, the Department of Government Efficiency.
And they're also going to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit. And if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt.
Maybe this Department of Government Efficiency, which Musk is supposed to head, will somehow find enormous savings which will be enacted. I'm very, very skeptical that there's anything there which will be big enough to offset likely tax cuts.
Elon Musk was kind of, I think it was asked during the campaign, how much do you expect to cut off from the deficit? And he right away blurted out $2 trillion. Even he's backed off on that.
I'm skeptical that Musk will be able to reduce spending sufficiently to decrease the deficit by any substantial amount. It would take some hiccup in bond markets, in the treasury market, to actually lead Congress to be slightly more responsible.
The US is crucial to the global financial system. The dollar is the world's currency of trade, of cross-border debt. People in other countries, big investors, central banks, they need to hold dollars. That means they need to buy US government debt. It's the benchmark safe asset for the whole world. Now, that has enabled the US government to be more free spending than most others. Maybe the type of crisis that we've seen in the UK or in the Eurozone a decade and a half ago could eventually come to the bond market, the economy that is at the center of all of this.
It could be really the most significant fiscal, monetary problem in the world, and it could trigger destabilizing events in financial markets.
I did see a post from President Trump, 2 words, all caps, balanced budget, with tax cuts and a lot of spending on border and other things. I think it's more likely than not that we'll see large deficits continue.
On the flip side, we've also seen with a country like Japan that you can have very, very high government debt levels for a very long time and really like nothing bad happens.
Again, moment in time. Moment in time. Japan chose the right time to do it, and even still, now they're getting the problems. After COVID, they're getting all the problems. But yes, Japan did have a free ride on the global economy for a while, where they printed like crazy, bought their own bonds, but they had such natural deflation from their aging population and from the proximity to China, which was making cheap goods, that it leveled off and they could just pretend there was no problem. But now, they always said, here's the thing about Japan, is they always said, oh, we really want to get a little bit of inflation because they have natural deflation. So we should print all this money, keep printing and buying. It's fine. We're trying to get some natural inflation. Once we get to 2%, we'll stop. And then they got there. I hope I didn't pre-watch. And then they got there and they didn't stop because it turns out they couldn't stop because they're fucking reliant on it. They got there and now they still have inflation. People in Japan are getting fucking pissed as their currency devalues and their inflation is keeping up with cost of living, and they're still printing. They're still fucking buying 800 billion yen worth of government bonds every fucking 2 months. They can't stop because the whole thing would fall apart. It was a lie. The whole thing was a lie.
The key to Japan's success, if you like, is that they're very.
If he's going to say the same thing, then I'm just going to stop talking. I am realizing that they're probably making the arguments that they make in their own paper, and I read the paper every fucking day, so it's probably. But if he doesn't say that, okay.
High debt levels have been accompanied by economic stagnation, where the central bank keeps interest rates very low, and also does quantitative easing, where it buys up all of the debt. So it doesn't really enter the market.
And you had the currency depreciate by 4% a year. So you lost about 70% relative to U.S. bonds. It's going to be a bad deal.
The bond vigilantes, if we want to be honest, they're the central bankers. A determined central bank can always override any market pressure to move yields higher, as the Bank of Japan has clearly demonstrated.
The unique thing about Japan is that the creditor of the Japanese government is the Japanese people. They've been prepared, and it's mostly the corporate sector, to hold Japanese government.
Dude, that's insane. Her example is only Japan for this one period of time. What about the determined central bank of the Weimar Republic, or of fucking Venezuela, or of Zimbabwe?
Debt at zero yields despite inflation. And the Bank of Japan is a highly trusted institution. I wouldn't be surprised if there were problems at some point, but they do have the most trusting and most solvent creditors in the world, namely themselves.
For the most part, this is a Western problem. This is a problem in developed economies. But if you look at a country like China, for example, a lot of people now are drawing parallels between China's economy and Japan's 10, 20, 30 years ago, talking about demographics, aging populations, debt levels going up.
You look at the debt levels in China, it's staggering. And I think that has real implications. It's a closed system. They're not growing in the same way that they have before. The remedies just aren't really available.
You could be seeing a situation there where these kind of existential worries about debt become an issue too.
The Eurozone's public finances are rather stronger than those in the UK or the US or Japan, but the Eurozone's not a
I will say about China. So China is still growing. But it's entirely through manufacturing exports, which are now hitting, I don't know what, like fucking 50% of the globe. It's absurd. And so, because their investment in real estate has fallen off a cliff, and their own consumers don't spend enough to justify it. So the only way it works is if the rest of the world buys more and more and more of Chinese stuff. So they're very vulnerable to like tariffs. China's more than anyone else, maybe in history, is more vulnerable to like coordinated tariffs from like the Europe and America. But luckily Trump has no idea how to do a coordinated tariff or how to have allies. They have no plan on that. So, wait, I'm going to try to show you. Maybe it's this. I don't have the fucking latest graph, but Did you hear about the China, South Korea, Japan element? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm talking about it tomorrow when I do the Liberation Day. How much would life change if U.S. magically debt went to zero overnight? If U.S. debt magically went to zero and no one had a problem with it overnight, our government bonds would be infinitely more in demand because we are, of course, going to pay them back. We have zero debt. Our amount of our government revenue spent on interest payments would drop by $800-900 billion. So we'd be able to afford way more things for the public. We would, we'd just be an infinitely safer financial. We wouldn't learn a lesson, but we wouldn't learn a lesson, but it would be incredible for a generation or two, and then we'd be in the same problem until you learn how to like run your government with an even budget, with a balanced budget, or even close to balanced. We'd be the new boomers, though. We'd be the new boomers. We'd get the boomers' life.
Cohesive picture by any stretch of the imagination.
Italy is one of the biggest borrowers, if not the biggest borrower in the euro area. France just politically has a really difficult time reining in spending.
And in France, there are plenty of issues that we have to confront, including the deficit and the debt. And so I'm involved in those discussions. The debt level is high, but it's increasing, and that's what worries me. I think we have to at least stabilize the ratio of debt to GDP, and that's a big number. I mean, to do this under the best assumptions that I can make, it's 150 billion that we have to find. In the current political environment, that's absolutely impossible. It may well require the kind of crisis which makes people sit down and be willing to accept cuts. And without it, I'm not sure we'll get there.
You've got an additional element.
Dude, it's funny that 150 billion in France is like crisis level. They can't figure it out. The government has to burn before they can. And then like 150 billion is what we spend in 2 days. That's what we spend in 2 days.
Here, which is Germany, the poster child for limited spending, limited borrowing, one of the safest and frankly most boring bond markets on earth.
Boring.
Germany's new chancellor has reached a historic deal to spend hundreds of billions of euros on defence and on infrastructure. Now, this is a huge change. We're talking about an economy that has historically been very reluctant to borrow heavily. So in a sense, Germany is belatedly joining the global debt party.
They need more domestic demand, and the private sector runs a huge surplus in Germany, doesn't generate demand adequately, has to spend a lot more on defence, we all know it. Its growth is very slow, it needs a lot more public sector investment. Investment has been very weak. If you need a defence build-up, you need to borrow. That's what governments are for.
Whilst the rest of the world have been spending, whether that's checks in the post in the US during COVID, huge support for industry, like we've seen in China, supporting its electric vehicles. We haven't seen the same behavior in Germany, but it's paid the economic price for its prudence. It's really struggling to compete with some of those car producers in China that, thanks to those subsidies, have reached massive economies of scale. The consumer in Germany, not having had those checks in the post, is much more cautious, hasn't been spending.
The investment community has been crying out to Germany to borrow for the last decade and a half. They've been reluctant to do so. Now that they are, as I say, belatedly joining the party, people are assuming this will be great news for the German economy, great news for the European economy.
Debt is not always bad. That's the important thing to remember here.
Italy is a bit different from France. It has a high level of debt, but again, between 100 and 130. What you have is a prime minister who actually is fairly responsible from a fiscal viewpoint. One of the reasons is that a lot of money from Brussels is conditional on good behavior. Italy is behaving fairly well.
The bond vigilantes have never been potentially more powerful simply because there's a lot more debt. Whether the politicians get the message is a whole other story.
We have to get the government deficits down to a level so the debt doesn't rise relative to incomes. If it's not done like that, you will have a high risk of a financial market heart attack.
You just can't say at X percent, that's when the bond market's going to wake up. That lack of clarity around an exact number is the problem.
That's the thing that really worries investors because there's nothing they can do to hedge against it or prepare for it.
The big risk here is what we saw in the 70s. The governments that issue debt in their own currency very rarely default. With the Trump administration possibly at war with the Fed, that could look quite plausible in a year or two. And if that happens, then the bond market would certainly break. You get high interest rates, high inflation.
Ugh.
And in the end, inflation wipes out the debt, and that should make the investors very worried.
Something's got to give. Either bond investors have got to be convinced somehow to just chew down on returns that they really don't want, or governments have got to massively cut their spending.
Austerity isn't going to happen.
Or tax increases, especially on the wealthy, or tax enforcement of our current tax policy.
It may be a market impulse to go for a debt spiral, but governments would not permit it. These so-called vigilantes are back because they can see a world going forward where there's more inflation. My opinion on the vigilantes is that they will be assassinated. And this is what we did after World War II. We didn't allow the market to determine the price at which the governments would pay for credit. We forced people to buy government bonds, keep those yields at rates that any vigilante would consider obscenely bad value to prevent the debt spiral and the death spiral. Whether we live in democracies or whether we live in dictatorships, the dictation will be to the vigilantes, not the vigilantes dictating to the governments.
There's a real debate between economists. Some people will say the bill is falling.
What is a bond vigilante? Bond vigilante is just a person that doesn't want to buy a government bond. A person or a company or a bank or a country. It's someone that doesn't want to buy your IOU because they don't think you're going to pay it back. Okay? That's it. It's a dumb name. Is it people who sell to create pressure? Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they sell, it makes it worse, right? Puts more out on the market. But it's just when people don't buy at the levels you want. If you're like, hey, we need to borrow $100 billion and we'll pay you 2% interest, and everybody goes no, that's bond vigilantes. So now you have to offer 3% or 4% or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, and all of a sudden you're spending all your fucking money on interest because the vigilantes don't trust you. They're not going to buy it unless you put a little high. That's the.
Due, something bad is going to happen if we don't cut debt soon. Other people will point out that actually government finances are not like household finances. You don't have to pay your bills because you control the money printing machine.
Problem with that is that it's inflationary, so there's no zero-cost way to sort this out.
If you don't like the fact that there's a large and growing treasury market, you could always make the decision to stop issuing more treasuries. It's a policy choice. It's not an economic imperative that the government issue securities to match the deficit each year.
You don't need to get rid of government debt. All you need is to stabilize it at some level that your population and your lenders think is reasonable.
Deficits can be useful when the economy goes down, right? There's a recession. Then it's clearly a good idea to have a larger deficit when times are bad, and a larger surplus when times are good.
Public finances have to be sustainable. The wrong way to get there is have a
forget the surplus.
Massive, sudden fiscal shock and tightening. That was the great mistake after the financial crisis with austerity. But we should be sure that they're sustainable and that we should be sure that the public finances support growth.
If you simply take the view, let's borrow as much as we can, then you'll find yourself with this problem in the private sector. Now, there are other people in that camp who say, well, that's really easy because we just fund it by printing more money. Well, there's a long history of how that is disastrous. Now, I know those people will argue that it will not be like that this time. I think any financial historian...
I love this guy. This guy, I reflect his opinions. I wish this guy could talk to Stephanie Kelton, bro. It's fucking ridiculous. There's just so many examples of everyone having this genius idea. We got this genius fucking idea. What if we just print it? What could possibly go wrong? I want to go to the Museum of Mistakes. Seems cool.
Finds it exceptionally difficult to see how the direct government financing by the central bank is anything but heading to very high levels of inflation. But, big but, there are plenty of savings in the world, and the government's going to manipulate those savings to borrow more money. But it's going to borrow that by forcing people to buy those government bonds. I don't think they take the radical...
So that's what Japan did, right? In Japan, if you invest money in a pension, kind of like a 401k or whatever, you have a pension, they're required by law to spend that money on bonds. Japanese bonds, not even like American bonds. They have to buy bonds, which helps them keep the interest rate low. But again, those bonds earn 0%, 0.5%. So they're getting destroyed. Your retirement's getting destroyed, but you're forced to buy it. And we're getting there in other countries where it's it's just going to become part of a charter or something that you have to do it.
Legal approach that some people recommend of direct funding of the government by the central bank. You don't have to take that risk. The world's full of savings. You can abuse the savers long before you have to abuse the balance sheet of the central bank.
I can't see a way for governments to snap this reliance on debt.
The countries which have large deficits are going to go through tough adjustments. The notion of fiscal rules will come back.
No panics. Panics are the worst thing you can do unless you've got an absolutely overwhelming immediate crisis.
Everybody wants more credit. And politicians particularly like borrowing and spending because the paying back comes in somebody else's term.
So true.
And if you can increase spending without increasing taxes and get away with it, that's nirvana. And there's only one problem is, well, how about the bond vigilantes? Maybe they don't want it, and maybe they have the power to stop that.
So there are big debt cycles that go on for 50 or 75 years in which debt is rising relative to the income needed to service that debt. Policymakers need to understand the big debt cycle. Are there limits to debt? What are they like mechanically? Yes, because it will come.
Every government deficit is good for someone. Is it a deficit that is resulting from passing tax cuts that primarily benefit people in the top of the income distribution? That deficit is going to be very good for that cohort of people. Or is it a deficit that is the result of making investments in your healthcare system, your education system, your infrastructure? That can increase the deficit as well and serve a different constituency.
Inflating away the debt by stealth over a period of many, many years may turn out to be the least worst option here, or at least one that allows politicians to avoid making some very, very unpopular decisions. But higher inflation, as we've seen in recent years, is very unpopular and can also lead to governments being thrown out of office.
Inflation has to be unexpected. If inflation is expected, then bond yields go up and actually governments don't improve their debt situation.
I can't imagine a world easily without government debt. Government debt has been a feature of economies for centuries. The modern financial system in the UK was created with the creation of the Bank of England, and that was there to help the government manage its debt. The government is the soundest credit, and it does long-run things. There's nothing wrong with borrowing. It's part of what makes a modern financial system work.
That was cool. They got a lot of different opinions. I don't like all of them, but I liked the video. It was a good vid. Thanks to FT for doing good journalism. Good to think about. Even if it sounds a little boring, I swear to God, it's worth thinking about. It's actually kind of fascinating, and we are in such a interesting time. New CoffeeZilla. How long is it? CoffeeZilla YouTube. Oh, it's Voidzilla?
CryptoZoo.co. I am so excited about this project. It's so fun. It's a really
It's a really fun game. Wait, I said it again?
really fun game that
That's my favorite. That's my favorite CoffeeZilla is the Crypto Zoo. I fucking love that one. It's a really fun game. What is this? Elections is the reason least found the social unrest? Damn, this sounds good, but this is too long. This is a 46-minute video. I'll watch this tomorrow. I like Historia Civilis. Have you watched the video, Ray Dalio Principles? I read the book, Principles for the Changing World Order. I would think I would enjoy watching and criticizing it, but probably not for today. I'm a newish video on 11-year child. Thank you, Cobbin House. Why doesn't the government just literally print money? It seems like it would have the same effect anyways, and you wouldn't have the debt problem. So, look, super, super duper, incredibly simplified. Understand there's more nuance to it, but understand that if, let's say we have an economy, right? This is the economy, and we've got 10 apples in it. 10 apples. Okay? And there's $10 in the economy. Okay? And so each apple's $1. If I have a secret money printer and I print $10, now if I bury this in the backyard, nothing happens. It's not the act of printing that's the problem. If I bury this in the backyard, but if I take that $10 and I start buying apples with it, okay, then eventually there's more dollars chasing the same amount of goods. And eventually the price of the apples will rise to $2 for the $20 in the economy. That's just inflation, right? So everyone else who's got their savings under this $1 one apple situation is getting screwed. While I, the printer, am making out like a bandit. You just described how inflation is always a bad thing for the consumer. Yeah, it is. In what world would a consumer ever like inflation? A consumer making it a wage? Never. They don't like it. In history, they've always hated it since fucking Rome. The only time you like inflation is if you're a huge debtor. If you have a ton of outstanding debts, then inflation erases them. There's people in Weimar Germany who used currency that was worthless to buy factories and land and property. And then it was all inflated away. It was worthless. They ended up with a ton of real assets and everyone else ended up with fucking worthless paper. Some people make out, but printed money is not evenly distributed. Yeah, it's called the Cantillon or Cantillon. I forget how to pronounce his name. I like saying Cantillon because it sounds fancier, but I think it's actually not. Anyway, Cantillon effect, where the people that get the printed money first use it to buy all the real shit. They buy the houses, they buy the stocks, they buy the cars, they buy the assets, they buy the gold. And then when the inflation finally hits and everything rises, they have all the real stuff. What if every time they print new money, they give it to chill vibers like us first? Now you're talking. Chat, I'm going to end here. I'm already 37 minutes over. I appreciate you. The real question is, where is wealth transferring to if it's out of regular people and out of governments? It's a great question, Blur. Could it perhaps be to a few hands of ultra wealthy? Nah, probably streamers, dude. Fucking hate streamers. It's probably going to Clancyville, actually, if I had to fucking nail it down. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. I will be back tomorrow with a presentation on Trump's Day of Liberation, which should be good. I'll put a little more effort into it so it's extra good. And I'm going to raid... who do I want to raid? Who do I want to raid? I think I don't want to raid Tasteless. He's training for Grubby's Big Invitational. If you don't know Tasteless, he's one of the greatest commentators of all time. And he's training for Grubby's Warcraft 3 Invitational. Did I get his name right? Yeah. Show him some love. He's a great RTS player. He's a great streamer. Anyway, thanks for watching. Tomorrow I'll be back. He's Day 9's brother, if you know Day 9. Goodbye!